Good evening, good evening, good evening. This is Kathleen Wells, your host of the Kathleen Wells Show. This is a political radio show. I think I mentioned before that, I was on KCA AM 1050 for 4 years. I had a political radio show there. Now I'm here. This is the new and improved Kathleen Wells Show. And what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about politics, yes. And the question is, how did we get here? I mean, President Trump hasn't been in office 100 days. I think he's been in office, 75 days? And we are spending so much time. When I say we, I'm talking about the mainstream media. I'm talking about the talking heads. I'm talking about those engaged and involved with politics, have been talking about this Russia business for the entire time. We're talking, the mainstream media has been obsessed with Trump's alleged ties to Russia, how Russia has hacked the DNC and released all this information, and that's why Americans voted for Trump, or that's why Trump won. This is what the mainstream media on the left is alleging. Yet, they've been investigating it since January, and there's no concrete evidence. You need evidence, right? There's no evidence. So for 75 days, the mainstream media has been focused on Trump's, it's everywhere. When I say, I'm talking about television and newspapers. So it's everywhere. You can't pick up a paper and not find some allegation, some connection, some accusation, some kind of way in which they're trying to say that Trump was complicit with the Russians and that's why he won. The question I have, okay, let's assume that the Russians did hack the DNC and release and leaked all the emails, all the information about Podesta and Clinton, and that's why. So the question is, if Hillary would have won the election, would we be talking about Russia hacked the DNC? Let's assume they did do it. But if Hillary would have won, would we still be talking about this connection that Trump had to the DNC? To the Russians. I doubt it. So anyway, let's fast forward to March 4th. March 4th, what happens? Trump tweets that he's being surveilled, or he used the word in quotation marks, wiretapped by the Obama administration. He put it in quotation marks. What does that mean, putting it in quotation marks? It's like, this is another thing I want to say. The people who analyze are always critiquing or, accusing Trump of some malfeasance. It's like they parse every single word. They nitpick, they hair split everything that he does. It's like, it has to be exactly right, or if it isn't, it's wrong. You have to get a feel for what the man is saying. He's saying that he was spied on, essentially. People that voted for Trump have a feel for what Trump is saying. They don't nail him to the cross on everything. Oh, it has to be the exact word. So on March 4th, Trump tweeted that he was being wiretapped by the Obama administration. Now, the mainstream media said, oh, that's a lie, he's a lie, he's a lie. That can't possibly be true. So what happens now? Monday, fast forward to Monday, we find out that what? Susan Rice, the National Security Advisor, was surveilling, or rather, how do you say the term? I think it's unmasking, intercepting Trump, the Trump team. We don't know if it's Trump specifically, but the Trump team. How does that work exactly? It's like incidental. They say it's incidental collection. In other words, if they were spying on a foreign entity was being spied on, and in that communication, an American was involved. Normally, that American would be labeled American citizen number 1 or something like that. But what Susan Rice did, she asked for that to be unmasked, to be revealed. So now we know so she would know the names of the people who were being who were on the other end of the communication with the foreign person that was being spied on, intercepted. And Representative, who's in charge of the House Intelligence Committee Chairman Nunes, he knew this. He saw the information that this was going on. I mean, the question I have is, how does the Democratic Party have any legitimacy, any authenticity whatsoever? I mean, to me, the average person would say, wait a second. Wait, the average person who just doesn't listen to mainstream, who just doesn't listen to the left. The average person who just doesn't listen to CNN and MSNBC. If you just listen to the left stream media, if you just listen to CNN and MSNBC, you don't have the full story. I don't know if you have half the story, because they keep saying the same thing over and over and over again. You might have a third or 40% of what's going on. You know Susan Rice is involved, but you don't know the other side of the story. And until you get outside of this matrix, and I say that because I voted Democrat all my life, all my voting life, until I voted in this last election for Trump. So I used to listen to MSNBC. I never listened to CNN, but I used to listen to MSNBC, and I had one side of a story. And now that I listen to Fox and other YouTubers, some people think there isn't valid or legitimate information on YouTube. No, they're wrong. Hey, listen, possibly, some people don't know how to discern good information from bad information. So they're always looking on YouTube at bad information. But let me tell you, if you really dig, you can find good information on YouTube. You can find good lectures from professionals. You can find things that you won't see on the mainstream media. And so you have a leg up on other people who don't get this information. Information is everywhere. And I encourage people to go out and seek it and find it. Look for information, because information is power. But anyway, and a few people that I listen to on YouTube are the Bill Still Report. I also listen to Dick Morris. He has a YouTube channel. He's been involved with the Clintons since, Hillary was in law school. That's 40 or 45 years, maybe longer. So I listen to Bill Still Report. I listen to Dick Morris, his analysis. There are quite a few people on YouTube that have some very valuable information. They dig, they find things that are not going to be reported on mainstream media. And I also listen to Fox. People act like you should be embarrassed to listen to Fox. Well, why don't you go over and listen and find out why you shouldn't be embarrassed to listen to Fox? See, that's the thing. I mean, not all the shows are excellent. But Tucker Carlson is quite good, actually. And that's how I found out that this whole thing about Susan Rice is going to go on and on and on. They're not going to let it go. The Democrats want them to let it go. But they're not going to let it go. And I'm glad they're not. Because, the title of today's show is, what is the title? Susan Rice and the Democratic Party are pimping the Black American experience. The reason why I titled it that is because I heard recently, I think his name is David Corn with Mother Jones. He said the reason why they're going after the reason, his name is David, what is his name? David Corn with Mother Jones. The reason why they're going after Susan Rice is because she is a black woman. Now see, I'm out of the matrix now, okay? I'm out of the matrix now. I'm not just listening to MSNBC. And I know darn well that the National Security Advisor is not supposed to investigate anything. That's not her role. That's not her duty. Despite the fact that she went on the interview circuit or whatever, she went around and made her interviews trying to justify why she did this, why she unmasked this information, which she's not supposed to do. She said, well, it's part of my duty. It's part of my role. Well, former intelligence folks have said, no, it's not. That's not your duty. Who investigates? The FBI, the CIA, and the NSA, not the National Security Advisor. See, and you're not going to get that knowledge from the left-wing media. This was this was exposed. This was explained on Fox, and this is why you have to get both sides of the coin to be informed. You have to get both sides of the coin to be informed. So Susan Rice and Democrats pimp the Black American experience. We have 60 years, I talked about this before, we have 60 years of the Democrats doing that. Why do we know it's true? Why do we know it's true? Well, the reason why we know it's true is because Black America owns less than 1/2 of 1% of the wealth of this nation. Less than 1/2 of 1% of the wealth of America. And we've been here 400 years. We've been voting Democrat 60 years. I've gone over this before. So, presumably, if you are someone's constituent, which blacks are the constituents of Democrats, we would be progressing, not regressing. Isn't that correct? Wouldn't you assume that to be true? So we're regressing. So we know we have 60 years of experience to know that the Democrats lie. That's undeniable. We don't have to second guess ourselves on that. We have evidence. The facts that Black Americans are regressing and that they now promote illegal immigration, which is harming Black America. All you have to do is pick up the Los Angeles Times and see that Black workers are experiencing a job crisis in Los Angeles, the mecca of illegal immigration. And since blacks are the constituents of Democrats, should they be promoting illegal immigration? I think not. I think not, because why should blacks be in a job crisis? We've been talking about jobs and education for 100 years at least. So why should we be experiencing a job crisis? But getting back to Susan Rice, what I was going to say is David Corn is saying because of her race and because of her gender, they are attacking Susan Rice. Does that sound, now liberals believe that, many of them. They believe, there's no credibility to the facts. There's no credibility to the fact that a national security advisor should not be unmasking American names when spying is going on, when surveilling is going on. That is not their role. That is not their duty, despite the fact that she said that. So what's going to happen is, let me tell you, the Republicans, the GOP, they're not going to let this go. In fact, I was just listening on Fox, and Senator Lindsey Graham, the Republican from South Carolina, says that he is asking Susan Rice to testify before Congress, also Brennan and Clapper, and the Assistant Attorney General, I think her name is Yates. He's asking them to testify. Also, Rand Paul says that they've made a request for Susan Rice to testify. They're not going to let this go. So all the hoopla about President Trump's tweet, March 4th, that it was bogus, that it was not true, that it was a falsehood, that he was a dimwit, that he was careless, that he was reckless. Come to find out, yeah, his transition team was being surveilled prior to him being inaugurated during the election. Why? What was the motivation? Why were they doing that? I want to hear from you. I'm going to give out a call-in number or call-out number. Who knows the number? 323-522. What is the number? What is the number? Let's see. Let me look. Hold on. It's 322-522-5899. 323-522-5899. I want to hear from you and tell me what you think. I know I'm not the only one. Hey, listen, people who voted for Trump, some figures say 63 million people voted for Trump. What do we want to discuss? Some say the figure is higher. I see 69 million, I see 63 million. I should have double-checked that. But anyway, a lot of people voted for Trump, right? He won, because he won the Electoral College. Now, the Democrats, hey, since this election, the Democrats have been wanting to change that. They're saying, no, it's a popular vote that, hey, the Electoral College has always counted. Trump won the presidency. That's why he's in office. And the people who voted for Trump want to see what? They want to see America first. They want to see high-paying jobs coming back to America. They want to see the wall built. They want to see illegal immigration stopped. And illegal immigrants, particularly criminals, but basically all of them, deported. They want to see taxes lowered. But we have been spending the last 75 days of Trump being in office. We have been discussing the Russia connection. Let me tell you, these folks on the left, they will spend the next 4 years investigating this. How does it make us feel, the Americans who voted for Trump, getting nothing done? Because we are consumed with with Trump being investigated, and members on his team, members in his cabinet being investigated, nothing getting done. How do you think Americans that voted for Trump will feel if nothing gets done but continued investigations for the next 4 years? What do you think? What do you think? Anyway, I'm going to put out the call-in number, 323-522-5899. I want to hear from you. Let me read a few of the things that are in the chat room. Mario says, shame on Susan Rice. She's the slave that they keep on the Democratic slave plantation to keep black Democrats in check. I see the pattern now. Do you see the pattern, Mario? Let me read something else. Let me go. Can I go up? Let me see if I can go up in the chat room. I'm reading. Oh, well, I don't want to read this, but I'll read it anyway. He says, Mario says, Susan Rice needs her citizenship taken away from her. Well, I think that's a little bit, I don't know. Do they do that? No. They don't take away your citizenship. But, maybe they will throw her in prison and throw away the key. What do you think about that? But, she's part of the elite. She's part of the globalists. So I don't think she's going to be, I don't know what's going to happen. It's intriguing, to say the least. Wouldn't you say? Don't you think it's intriguing? Anyway, I'm going to I want to hear from you. Please call in. The number is 323-522-5899. That's 323-522-5899. Please call in. Let me see. I wrote down a few other things that I wanted to say. I discussed that David Korn with Mother Jones says that they are defaming Susan Rice because she is a woman and because she's black. Does that sound reasonable? I don't think so. And so the question is, the question is, because there's racism / white supremacy, does that mean that blacks are never wrong? That's the question I want to ask my listeners. Because there's racism / white supremacy, does that mean that blacks can never do wrong? That's the question. Okay, so let me look at the next thing that I wrote. Oh, this is the thing that I mentioned, what I learned on Fox, and this is why I'm telling people to watch Fox. You just can't watch the mainstream media, which is dominated by the left anymore. You've got to watch both programs. You've got to seek alternative sources of information, and you have to have more than one side of the coin. You have to have more than one side of the coin. Right? Okay, let's see. I have a call. Shall we take the call? What do you guys think? Can you talk to me in the chat room? Should I take the call? Hi, I'm taking the call. Welcome to the Kathleen Wells Show. This is Kathleen Wells, your host, and we're talking about Susan Rice. What do you think?
Hi, Kathleen and everybody. This is Ted Hayes in Los Angeles, occupied Los Angeles. an overrun in the overrun state of California, about to exit the nation, about to become a sanctuary city state, about to become allied with 1861 Charleston, South Carolina, when they fired on Fort Sumter in the Charleston Harbor because he was mad at Abraham Lincoln, because Abraham Lincoln cared about black people and the slaves and wanted to ultimately see them free. And so that's where California is, and that's me. That's where I'm calling from, L.A.
Yeah, well, let's see. They just voted on SB 54, which will make California a sanctuary state. That passed, and now it has to go to the Assembly. They have to vote on it. So California, they're voting on California becoming a sanctuary state.
Yeah, and a lot of that, folks, is based on the Black American experience, because everything that the invader occupiers do their agency, La Raza, everything that they're doing to claim legitimacy for what they're doing is they're basing it on the civil rights that we was granted by Anglo-English-speaking white people who died in the war to make sure that we were free from the Democratic Party's chattel slavery and ensured that we have a citizenship as is enjoyed by white citizens according to the 14th Amendment and according to the 15th Amendment, the right to vote, that is, to participate in the governance of this great country. And they're using our experience because they base it on some sort of a brown skin color thing that they're pushing. But most of the activists and leaders are blonde-haired, blue-eyed, very pale white Spaniards. If you don't believe me, look at all the different radio, all the different television programs that they have. They're all blonde Spaniards, and the rest of the folks are either comedians, entertainers, or bad guys because they're dark-skinned. And, of course, they run that stuff up here on insecure white folks, Anglo-English-speaking white folks, and they getting over. But we're here today to say, as black folks, we're getting tired of that, and we're not going to allow for our legacy and heritage to be pimped any longer. And that leads us to the discussion about Susan Rice. Susan Rice and the Democratic Party, typically the Democratic Party since 1964, are using the black American chattel slave Jim Crow experience as a shield against criticism, a shield against justice as they continue to wage their criminal war against our country. But they're using us black people. It's like those terrorists hiding behind women and children and babies as they throw bombs and carry on. Anyway, I digress. I try. My apologies.
Well,
Kathleen.
So the question, that's the question. That's the topic today. Susan Rice and the Democratic Party are pimping the black American experience. Can you
Absolutely.
Yeah. Why do you think they're using it as a? Susan Rice is using. I don't know if she's doing it, but I know David Corn and Mother Jones is certainly doing it, and all the other liberals. They're saying, oh, they're going after Susan Rice because of her race. So talk about how that is using race as a shield to protect Susan Rice from any wrongdoing, malfeasance, criminal misbehavior, criminal act. How is race? Go ahead.
It's the same thing that they've used with Barack Obama. You can't touch Barack Obama because if you touch Barack Obama, who ain't one of us? His ancestors did not come on the slave ships. His father, so they say, Kenya, flew here in a jet plane of his own volition to get an American visa to go to school. He had no intention of becoming one of us, as is his father, and married the white lady and whatever her name is, and Barack Obama supposedly came out of that. He grew up in Indonesia and in a upper class community in Hawaii. He ain't one of us yet. They use that brown tan skin color to embody us. And us, and see, I don't blame Obama and the Democrats for what they do because the devil going to do what the devil going to do. You can't stop that. The scorpion will be the scorpion. However, I think the problem is that Anglo-English-speaking white people in this country, particularly conservatives and Republicans, don't know who the heck they are. They don't have a confidence in who they are. They're very insecure. So when they say to the invader, the Hispanic Latino invader particularly, he said to him, "Hey, you can't cross into my country without permission. You can't cross into anybody's country without permission. And the invader says, then you are a racistos. And the American English-speaking white guy said, why am I a racist? I'm just enforcing the same law that Mexico enforces on their southern border. He says, because look at my skin. He says you're a racist because you're treating us the way you treat the blacks. And then the white man said, wait, what do you mean by that? He said, look at my skin color. And the white man, who knows he has not finished his legitimate business with black folks in this country, he knows that. He doesn't know what to do about that. And because he is guilty about that or feeling insecure about that, he's not secure in himself. So when that guy says to him, you're treating us brown people like the blacks, he crumbles. He crumbles in the legislature. He crumbles in the judicial. He crumbles in law enforcement and leave us vulnerable.
Well, I don't know. I know what you're saying, but I mean, I think that's the liberals because the conservative whites are like deport their butts. They don't have any qualms about saying that. I don't think they look insecure one bit.
But if they were that serious, they would have been done it long time ago. They would have been done, but they weren't that serious because they don't have the moral courage to do it yet. What I'm concerned about is if these people don't stop all this madness, if it does get out of hand, I am concerned that there will be a violent backlash against all of that, and no country and throughout history could condemn those American people for defending, being insurgents against an invasion. However, I think that they can get rid of this thing if they understood who they were as Anglo-English-speaking white people, and the average white person does not know who they are. But the La Raza knows who they are, and the socialists who run the Democratic Party, they know who they are, just like they know who we are. And they know the value of the existence of black people in this country. They know that if black people can be made of no political consequence, be it the loss of their vote, the United States will be over. The United States exists on the existence of black people. Abraham Lincoln said that. But white folks don't understand it. They need to learn that.
So you think that the Democrats are trying to get rid of America? They're trying to destroy.
Absolutely. They've always tried to get rid of America. That started back in 1861 when the Democrats dared to tear the Union apart. They wanted to create a Confederate United States as opposed to the Union United States. And Abraham Lincoln said, no, we ain't going for that one. And so they said, well, bunk you, Lincoln. We're going to fire on your butt. And they fired on Lincoln. And so Lincoln then, you know the rest of the story. Democrats, and the Democrats have been out to destroy black people because of the power that the federal government put within our existence. And they have been hoping that we will be destroyed and rendered inconsequential politically, the vote-wise.
Yeah, but
remember, it was a Democrat, Broadway, Hollywood-type guy that shot and killed Abraham Lincoln, not because Lincoln freed the slaves or because he granted citizenship, but because he gave the Negroes the vote.
Yeah, but the Democrats back then aren't the Democrats today. The Democrats during the Civil War, no, and I'm not saying they switched parties because I saw some of Dinesh D'Souza's documentary on how the history of the Democratic Party. I encourage people to see that. The history of the Democratic Party. Less than 1% switch parties. This is a myth. See, they say that during the civil rights era, that people switched parties. No, they did not. Less than 1% switched. However, what I'm saying is that the Democrats during the Civil War weren't the Democrats that you have now. That's what I'm saying.
But they are. They're the same party, except that they were conservatives. That they were like Sean Hannity and Bill O'Reilly and the Fox people. That's what they were. They believed. If you look at the doctrine of the conservatives today and the doctrine of the conservatives of that time, it's the same. Small government, small taxes, states' rights, hardworking, entrepreneurship, traditional family. All that stuff, the same thing they believe today. And I've said this to conservatives. I said, look, most conservatives will say they think Republican and conservatism are the same thing. And most conservatives, particularly Sean Hannity, will swear up and down he is a conservative before he is a Republican. And I say to Sean Hannity and his people, then fill you up the measure of being conservative, because of people like you, Bible-believing Christians, evangelical Christians, who went to church every Sunday and carried on, are the ones who held black people as chattel living human property for 245 years and excused to go to war to kill in order to keep these people. What is it about your faith, whether you understand it or not, that allows you that right? Same people. Same people.
No, you're confusing me. You're saying that the white conservatives, Christians, held...
are the same ones that you hear today. They are the same household.
No, because the Democrats are liberals today.
No, ma'am. We know the liberals, the Democrats, we know they're racist. We know that, and they're very clever about their racism, okay? But these other people, you got to remember, you inherit legacy. Legacy. The legacy of the people who call themselves conservatives have those same beliefs about the Bible. Those people who held slaves had those same beliefs. So what is it about your conservatism that allowed you to do this? And see, now you got to remember something. And I've shared this with conservatives in a very nice way, because it's a reality they're going to have to face sooner or later. I've explained to them, in 1876, when the Democratic Party and the Republican Party did not have enough votes to secure the White House, for 4 months we didn't have a president. And then in April, I think it was that year, they made a compromise. And the compromise was this. The conservative Democrats said to the liberal Republicans at that time, they said, if you will remove the troops back to the garrison, out of the South, etc., then we will give you the necessary electoral votes to keep the presidency. And so Republicans, that's when Jim Crow was born, by these conservatives. Remember, this has always been the Bible Belt of America. And these people began to write those laws against the free slaves, and then the Republicans, the Northerners, they turned their back on us, and Rockefeller, Carnegie, the robber barons, they put all their time and money into railroad, land mines, mining, Wall Street investments, and killing and taking the Indians' land. These Republicans. And see, and those particular Republicans are the ones who gave birth to the unions, because they mistreated their workers, not because they wanted to make money, because they wanted to make more money than their competitors.
No. So, you're confusing me. First of all,
I know.
Listen, it's the Democratic Party that was for slavery and Jim Crow, not the Republicans.
You're right, but they were also conservatives. Conservatives have a role in this. They're not innocent.
Oh, so you're saying conservative Democrats?
Whatever they are, they're not. If you believe in conservatism as such, you have a role in this matter of chattel slavery and Jim Crow. If you are a Democrat, you have a role in this as well. It was Democrat and conservative. Republicans, who are neither conservative nor liberal, their sole job was to defend the legacy of the 740,000 white boys who died in Civil War and Abraham Lincoln, to ensure that the chattel slaves were taken care of as long as the nation shall live, and they abandoned their post.
Oh, so you're saying Republicans are neither liberal or conservative?
They're neither liberal nor conservative. That's what I am. I am neither liberal nor am I conservative. Some people call me liberal. Some people call me conservative. I'm neither. I am a Republican. My number one job is to ensure that this nation survives via its protection of the descendants of the chattel slaves as long as this nation shall live. And this nation can only live as long as we are politically voter viable in this country. That's why they hate Trump, because Trump blew their whole card. Trump blew it. If had Hillary won, we'd have been done. Because what's happening is the invaders are coming here under the 14th Amendment, our civil rights legacy, and they're becoming 18 every day, 68,000, 800,000 a year. The vote, the power. Listen to them. They'll tell you, we're going to take over the country by 2050. Why? Because of this invasion. The day that the invasion numbers outvote the original 15th Amendment of black folks' numbers, that will be the technical end of the United States. La Raza knows it. Socialists knows it. And the upper-level Republicans and conservatives know it. Those conservatives and particularly Republicans' problem, those who call themselves Republican, their problem is they don't know whether they want to actually end this thing or not by using us. We are their black shield. If the president, Donald Trump, started saying outwardly, based on the 14th Amendment and the Civil Rights Act of 1866, I am building a border to protect black people. I am stopping refugees to protect black people. I am enforcing the laws of custom and immigration because it protects black people. He does that, he's cool. And nobody can touch him. Nobody. Because if you're against Trump, then you're against black people. If you're against Trump, you hate black people. You are a racist. And if you happen to be an African-American, you are a sellout. You're a Quimbo and a Sambo.
Oh, why like that? If you're against Trump, and if you're pro-illegal immigration, you are anti-black. Now, I understand that. If you are against Trump and you are for illegal immigration, you are...
Of any kind.
Of any kind. You are anti-black. That's the bottom line. I believe
that's right.
That's the bottom line.
That's right. What do you call it? The dreamers? You cannot be for the dreamers. Absolutely not. If you're for the dreamers, then you are anti-black folks. If you are for anchorism, anchor babies, you are anti-black folks. If you not only are you anti, but you're trying to genocide us, because that's what I was talking to somebody the other day about this, and they was trying to soften up. I said, no. If they stay, we die. They're staying for a lifestyle change, an upward better life than what they had south of the border or wherever they're from. It's our life, not a lifestyle. Our life is at stake. If they stay and their voting numbers outnumber ours, it's over for us. We are on the road to genocide.
And I've seen people have been talking about this for quite a few years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. I mentioned to you Terry Anderson is out here talking about it. He was out here talking about it in the 80s. And
Dr. Claude Anderson?
No, Terry Anderson.
And also Dr. Claude Anderson.
And also Dr. Claude Anderson. I encourage all my listeners to go and listen on YouTube to the lecture of Dr. Claude Anderson. This one in particular, The Exceptional People. Please listen to that lecture so that you learn what politics is, how it operates, how you play the game of politics. It's not about feelings. It's not about feelings. It's about economics. It's about a strategy. It's about a strategy. It's not just about how you feel, okay? What is the point of politics? To get your interests served. What is your interest? If you're black, your interest is black Americans. If you're black, your interest is America. You are American. All these Hotep people and pro this and pan that, we're American. We have been here 400 years. We are American. That other stuff is going nowhere. The Friends of the African Union, the Pan-African stuff. They've been talking about that for decades. It's going nowhere. It's a losing... Hotep stuff. That's a losing proposition. There's nothing there. There's no substance there.
Not the United States.
Nothing you can sink your teeth into. You've been here 400 years. You need to sink your teeth into something substantial, substantive, something tangible, okay? But anyway, Ted, I appreciate it. I don't know how we got off on this. Let's get back to Susan Rice. Talk about this.
But see, Susan Rice, again, that is the strategy that they have been using time and time and again. Susan Rice needs to be prosecuted. If a white guy and a black guy together robbed the bank and together they got caught, they're going to jail, not because it's a white guy or a black guy. Why are they going to jail? Because they got caught robbing the bank. And she got caught breaking the law. Ain't got nothing to do with her skin color. Or are they saying anybody black, anybody of that skin color can do no wrong? If that's the case, open up the doors of all the prisons.
That's right. That's right. They're saying, see, this is the hypocrisy of the left. They're saying this David Korn of Mother Jones to say, they're attacking Susan Rice because she's a woman and because she's black. Well, if you cannot attack black people, why are the prisons full of them?
Exactly. And if you cannot attack black people, a banger, stop killing black folks. You ain't supposed to be attacking black people.
That's what David Corn with Mother Jones said. You can't attack black people. I mean, that doesn't even make sense. That's like ridiculous. All you have to do is go and visit a prison. I visited the prisons. Okay, they're full of black folks. That's
enough.
That's another thing. Going back to this illegal immigration business. This guy, I think his name is Kevin DeLeon, who's with the California State Assembly. What is that? What he's the California? Yeah, California State. He's like he did this SB 54 law. He's the one that drafted this bill. It's absurd because essentially what it is saying, if you are here illegally, you shouldn't be deported because you committed a felony. How is that absurd? Because you go to the prisons and it's filled with black people who had a joint and got 10 years for 3 strikes or whatever. They can't violate it. Listen, when I've had traffic tickets, I've gone to traffic court. People were in there who threw trash out or threw a cigarette out the window. They were being fined. But and that's another thing I want to talk about, this illegal immigration stuff. When I went to traffic court, you don't even know. There are a lot of Latinos in traffic court, but you don't even know if that's their correct driver's license, their name. I mean, do you know what I mean? Because I remember there were women that said no, that they got the wrong person. De Leon told us. He said, "Listen, half my family has fake identification, fake driver's license, fake green cards." He said, "This is the guy in the California State Senate." He said, half my family has fake identification. So
they're not wrong.
So when you go and you get a traffic ticket, I saw Latino women that wasn't me that got the ticket. That's the wrong person. How do we know she's not using false identification? So in other words, illegal immigrants can't get traffic tickets now because they have so many IDs?
Yep. That's why this is an invasion, folks. This is not illegal immigration. This is wholesale, government-sponsored, conspiratorial invasion occupation with the intent of destroying the last bastion of capitalism and freedom by destroying the guardians at the door, and that is us. They know we are the weakest point, but they also know if we wake up, we are the most dangerous point as well. So they're taking a big risk in what they're doing. And that's why they hate Donald Trump, because he said, I'm going to build a wall into illegal immigration. Black people, know how you're suffering under Democrats. I know why you're suffering under Democrats. I want to help you. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I'm building a wall because illegal immigration hurts black people more than anybody else. Oh, and by the way, I want to be your next Abraham Lincoln. Oh, what he said all that for. That's why I say anyone against Donald Trump is a racist against black folks.
They're anti-black. Well, you know what? That's a lot of black folks who are anti-black because there are.
But they don't know. They don't know. They don't know. But you know what though? They're starting to wake up. They really are. They're starting to wake up. I think Trump is touching them, and they don't trust him like I don't trust him either. I don't trust any politician, but I'm gonna stay on him. And I think the rest of us are looking at it that way. And I think if we keep pushing that, even if he listens to this stuff, he'll come through. I just wish he would get a better understanding of the power that he has. I don't think he really knows what he's got, because the African Americans around him won't tell him what he's got because they don't know what it is themselves.
Well, that we discussed that in the last program, how we have to call out these black politicians, these black talking heads. They need to be called out because they are doing a disservice. And I mentioned to you that my congresswoman is Karen Bass. She's having a town hall in Marina Del Rey. I hope I make it on April 19th. Congresswoman, you should go. Yeah, I'd like to go because I will definitely. I've called her office. I'd like to go and tell her a thing or two about this illegal immigration. I'm one of her constituents, and the LA Times has made it clear that blacks in Los Angeles are facing a job crisis. So what is she doing? The reason why is because illegal immigrants are taking all those jobs, construction jobs.
And there's about 3 commissioners on the Civil Rights Commission who are saying the same thing, that to a lot of us black folks, on the low skill level for various reasons, and they're saying that that's where most of these invaders are at, is on the low skill level. So they're now competing with black men and women, and not only they're competing, but they're doing it at a lesser price, which is pushing our black people completely out of the picture.
And then that's the other issue. How come after 60 years of voting Democrat, we're still on so many of us, a large swath of us, is still on the low skill level? That speaks to our educational system.
That too, but it speaks to the then time Negro leadership in the 1960s. Y'all go back and research Malcolm X in 1963. He had a running public discussion on differences in how to handle the white man between Dr. King and himself, and etc. And when he saw Dr. King, and I bless Dr. King's heart, and Roy Wilkins and John Lewis, the NAACP and all those folks, going to the White House. You got to remember now, this is a John Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson, Democrat White House. The people who held us as slaves, and Jim Crowed us, which has destroyed future generations that we cannot yet count. They were meeting with these guys, organizing the August 28th, 1963 Civil Rights March. Malcolm basically said, knowing this, y'all work with these people? He said, how can you do that? He said that you've been hoodwinked. You've had the wool pulled over your eyes, and you've been bamboozled. And they got mad at him for saying that because they were trying to say he was a separatist. No, he was telling the truth. Well, 40-some years later, look at what we got. Because the Negro leadership at that time, not knowing how to deal with black people's problems, with black people having nothing to do with white people or the government, they chose to allow the socialists to teach them what to do about black people, i.e. the whole 1965 Johnson's war on poverty, which was really a war on black folks. No, the Democrats didn't have a change of heart. They had a change of strategy, and it worked like a charm.
Why didn't the Republicans form a relationship with blacks at that time during the 60s?
I'm trying to tell you now, because when and I don't know why Eisenhower did. I guess he got scared. But when Richard Nixon, who knew King and them, they were all Republicans, he called the White House to say, look, man, Dr. King's down there in jail, and we're all concerned. Should I call? Dwight David Eisenhower said, no, do not call. So they called Kennedy. Robert Kennedy told John, call. At that point, we became endeared to them. And then when Kennedy was killed, and then when Kennedy gave that civil rights speech, and then he was killed in the same year of the Civil Rights March, he became Abraham Lincoln. And we went to sleep. And then Johnson was able, while we were in shock, was able to slip that socialist peel into us, which led to that high rate of abortion, which led to the drugs, the crack, all that stuff that was deliberately flooded into our community by the CIA and all those different groups. That was all planned. At the same year, Kathleen, same year they passed the 1965 immigration reform bill, which is the root to where we are today. They're taking over the urban centers where we live. I call it ethno-racial cleansing, one step away from physical genocide.
Mm-hmm.
And out well, these Democrats.
And what? What was that?
They planned this out very well, these Democrats.
Yeah.
But Donald Trump showed up. That's why they hate him so. And his children.
They hate his children. They were talking about Ivanka. I heard on the news today. They were criticizing her. She was asked a question about whether or not she was complicit with her father. And somehow that word complicit was a trigger word. And they hung on it as if she had made a faux pas or something by saying she said, because it's vague. That's ambiguous. Complicit in what? Complicit in doing something good, complicit in, you can be complicit in doing good, and you can be complicit in doing bad. But I don't know, it's too confusing. Hey, listen, this is the thing I think. what the liberals and Democrats like to do, they like to keep mess stirred up, the pot stirred, mess going. They like it messy. And somehow out of all the mess, they come out victorious. This is what I think. However, I think with Donald Trump, maybe, because you got to admit that 2016 campaign was it was very messy, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
And yet Trump came out victorious, right?
After everybody said no way he can win, which they did it to themselves. They underestimated the American people. They thought they had the American people asleep. They even thought they had us black folks asleep. And that's why they're mad, because Trump is waking black people up. Mm-hmm. And they bet you we're going to ask the question, well, who am I? Look in the Constitution, buddy, and you'll see who you are. You're a super citizen. You have power that no other American citizen have. Not because you're black, but because of the way in which the immigrants brought you unwillingly into this country as a slave to serve immigrant people. The immigrant would not have a nation if it wasn't for your back, homeboy. And so another group of immigrants decided, we got to fix this. We got to fix this. This is not only illegal, but this is immoral. So we're going to grant these people 3 amendments, and they're interlocking, where you cannot divide them. One cannot do without the other. It's like a 3-legged stool. And one in particular, the 14th, in that we will give them 10 specific. We're going to give them power. We're going to give 10 sections that explains who they are, the power that they have, why they have that power, and how to exercise that power, even the power of the presidency and the United States military if they so need to do it.
Okay.
That's why we are.
That's why what?
That's who we are. That's why I'm teaching this so vigorously anymore. Because yeah, because as you clearly stated earlier, all that ethno Afrocentralism and all that old Pan-Africanism stuff and carrying on, and the dashikis and all that stuff.
And that hotep, it's so
that ain't even gonna work in Africa. So United States, the only thing that's gonna work in the United States is the Constitution. If it says, "We the people," that is the first statement of the Constitution. Without "we the people," the rest of the articles is nothing but dead words on a piece of paper. We the people must activate those dead words. We the people must make them come alive. And as American black U.S. citizens, we have the right and the authority and the duty to make that Constitution work for us. Because when it works for us, it saves the nation. Abraham Lincoln tried to tell us that.
Well, it's kind of distressing and frustrating to know that we've had to get this far before things got turned around. And Trump used to say during the campaign, if he doesn't win, this is the last opportunity. Because I do believe if Hillary got into office, black people would be finished. Can you imagine?
Yeah, we'd be done.
Because they're not 11 million illegals. They're more like 30, 35, 40, right? Illegal immigrants. And can you imagine having open borders and making illegal immigrants, giving them amnesty or citizenship? Can you imagine? We'd become invisible. We would be irrelevant. Why don't most black people understand that?
Because we've been bamboozled. The prophet Malcolm said that. Malcolm said, black folks, y'all been bamboozled. And it's taken a whole generation post a black president to get us into a position now where we have no choice but to hear what you and I are talking about, Kathleen, the power that we have in this country. And don't let these people keep telling you that the Constitution says you 3/4 5/5 of a man and don't read the Constitution. I was written by a bunch of white people. Well, nigga, what you gonna read? Where's your power? What are you talking about, man? It's all you got. You got something else? I was at a meeting the other day, and we were talking about these things, and I could tell that the young black man got confused because he was hearing things out of my mouth that just didn't jive with his philosophy and was tearing his philosophy up. And all he could do was rant and rave about the white man. I said, well, okay, then fine. You don't want to do this. What, brother, do you want to do? How you going to get us out of here? He's so used to crying the blues. Well, it is. Some of my folks just got comfortable crying the blues. They don't want their diaper changed. That doo-doo's feeling good. Warm.
Oh, that's gross. Don't say that. Hey, listen.
Well, that's what it is. If you don't change that baby for a while, that baby adapts to it. and our people haven't had our diapers changed, so to speak.
Yeah, a lot of us are really kind of like into our feelings, really heavy. So I know that you're doing something about, in fact, I listened to your interview with Mr. Siegel. I can't remember his first name. I listened to that if you did recently about some reconciliation. Tell listeners what that's about.
Well, when we were freed from the Democratic Party as chattel slaves by the Republican Party in 1865, over generations, various black spokespersons or chattel slave descendant spokespersons or Jim Crow black spokespersons would challenge the federal government, saying, as you held us in chattel slavery by law and made racial discriminatory laws against us by law, then perhaps by law you need to acknowledge and apologize for what you did. Well, for 145 years this argument went on. And it created the ultimate barrier between black and white people. Because whenever you hear black folks complaining about the white man, we always end it with, and he ain't ever apologized for it either. And then we come back with, and he won't apologize because he's too proud, he's too scared that we're going to sue him. So, man, he ain't going to say he's sorry. So, I remember we used to joke about that in the 60s. Well, lo and behold, in 2008, a congressman by the name of Steve Cohen, elected in Nashville, Tennessee, in a predominantly black district. Steve Cohen happens to be an Ashkenazi white Jewish fellow. He wrote this document, and he sent it to the Democratic Party because he's a Democrat. And the Democrats took it. I don't know why they did that, but they pretty much boxed themselves in with what I'm going to tell you in the future here. But they acknowledged it. They accepted the document. Barack Obama knew about it. Everybody in Washington, D.C. and the government knew about it. It hit some news. But most people in America, black and white, did not know about it because the African-American leadership, primarily the Congressional Black Caucus and the NAACP and the SCLC and, Urban League, Jesse Al, they said that the document did not go far enough. Some said it didn't mention the word reparations. And I say, they don't know how to interpret what they read. Because twice the document, not only does it say that black people suffer today because of what happened yesterday, that came out of the mouth of Bill Clinton and George Bush, and they say that if we don't put an end to this, that it's going to hurt future generations, and they say that apology is not enough, we must do more, we must reconcile. Twice use the word reconcile. And see, the word reconcile simply means fixing up which is broken, repairing the relationship, and whatever it takes, that's what you do. Well, the African-American leadership, ladies and gentlemen, chose not to tell anybody about this, and subsequently we had 8 turbulent years of an increased spike in racial turmoil under a black president, supposedly. Now, the funny thing about this is that Mr. Obama knew that this had gone down way back in June 29th, 2008. He could have, as a Democrat, the night that he won the election, rather was chosen by the Democrats on August the 28th in commemoration to Martin Luther King in the March on Washington, he could have said, y'all want me to take you to a post-racial America? Well, ladies and gentlemen, in my hand, I have the first step. Let me explain to you what's going on. White folks would have ate it up. Everybody, black folks would have ate that up. He could have did it the night he was elected. He could have did it at his inauguration. He could have did it on January 15th for King's holiday as a president. He could have did it for Black History. He could have did it for the anniversary of Dr. King's assassination on April the 4th. He did not do it. Why? Because he was too busy hating black folks and stirring ignorant, frightened, emotionally responsive black folks against the police and against the white establishment and against so-called systematic racism, when it's the Democratic Party that created the systematic racism, you see. And that's what happened, folks. And so what we've been doing with Dr. Alveda King, Martin Luther King's niece, Mike Siegel, another Ashkenazi Jewish fellow, C.L. Bryant, the guy who did the movie documentary called Runaway Slave, and we've organized with several other people in the country, and we chose April the 3rd, commemorating Dr. King's assassination 49 years later, to have radio talk show hosts across the country to read the document and to ask black people, particularly the Congressional Black Caucus, are you going to respond with a resolution, forgive or not forgive? To the black clergy, are you going to follow what your Bible tells you about forgiving? The person comes and asks you to forgive. What y'all going to do? Are we going to get on with what we're going to do? And so this Sunday, ministers across the country will be, hopefully, I don't know how many. I talked to one today. She said she's going to talk about it in church on this Sunday, and others, and they're going to pose a question. What y'all going to do now? You've been wanting this. You've been wanting this since you've been free from slavery. The white man can change. The white man ain't a devil after all. The white man, if you close your eyes and let someone read you that document, you swear it was the most militant black man that could be who wrote that document. When will y'all be satisfied?
Yeah,
I believe, the final thing, I know that those of you who don't believe in the divine supreme being, a thinking, intelligent, one-all superpower person, God, as some people call him, I believe that as black folks, we have a strong belief in all that. And according to the doctrine, to the scriptures, the first principle of salvation, it tells you that if you go to pray and you remember your brother has something against you, you leave your gift, you leave your prayer, go and be reconciled. And then it says to the other guy, if your brother comes, you recognize he done messed up and wants your forgiveness, then you need to forgive him. Otherwise, you're not going to be blessed either. And I believe that's what's been our big problem. We've been living a lie as black people. We've been hypocrites. We steady pointing our finger at other folks and refuse to acknowledge the power that is within us.
Okay, I have mixed feelings about that whole forgiveness thing because it makes me think about the guy who went into the church in North or South Carolina and shot up those people praying in the church, and then the son forgave, the relatives forgave him like the next day. You know what I mean? So I have
and also, and I went down to that church and I talked to him, and in September of 2015. And I also talked with the lady of Walter Lamar Scott. Judy Scott was his mother. He's a black fellow in the park that was shot in the back by that white police officer in Charleston on April the 4th, by the way, just a month or two before the 9 were killed by the other white guy. And Miss Scott actually is the one who started that because she first came out and said, I forgive you.
Oh, you know what? I have a call, Ted. I'm going to take the call. Thanks for calling. Hi, welcome to the Kathleen Wells Show. This is your host, Kathleen Wells. Hello? Oh,
I am so sorry. It's Kiki. I was listening from the internet, and so I thought I'd be able to hear you on there, too.
Oh, no, that's
and
okay. Kiki, you have something to say?
Yeah, I'm just really enjoying you guys' conversation, and the previous caller is absolutely right. If you are, both of you guys, if you're not supporting Donald Trump right now, then you are just not with the program. You are missing the mark. This illegal immigration situation is out of control. I don't know if it is because it's not as bad in all areas that people don't understand, but if you come out of L.A. or some of these cities that have been affected for a very long time, then you will see that not only are they here to enjoy a better life, but they're certainly here to replace you, and they will treat you the way that they think that white people are treating you. They feel that they can disrespect you. They feel that they are better than you. They have a power over you. Obviously not every single person, but that's definitely prevalent in the workplace. It's definitely prevalent in the school system. And so I just really appreciate you guys, too, for bringing that to the forefront.
Yeah, we're trying to bring it to the forefront. I mean, a lot of white liberals don't realize this. In fact, Malibu was made a sanctuary county, Malibu, and now they're trying to make the state of California a sanctuary county. And this was the data from the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights makes it very clear that illegal immigration, immigration is not exempt from the laws of supply and demand. This is economics 101. These folks are smothering black Americans.
You mentioned also when you were talking about going to traffic court in Los Angeles, and I can't give you the exact wording, but basically they're saying it is illegal for them to ask a Mexican for their ID when they pull them over. That could be considered racially profiling because the police could be just asking them that because they want to deport them. And I mean, just as a black person with the issues that we have in terms of pulling over, not even, on top of the police brutality issue, but looking at just excessively just being pulled over for tickets and that kind of stuff. And then it's like, you know, they will take your car, they will take your license from you. The fines are absolutely ridiculous, and the fines are constantly increasing because they are trying to make money for the city to pay for all these illegal people that they want running around here, and then they don't have to pay taxes, they don't have to pay tickets. You know, they're allowing their anchor babies, not one kid, not two, but all 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them to crowd up our school system. It's outrageous.
It's outrageous. And, you know, look at the roads in Los Angeles. Every street is potholed. Yet, you know, they're increasing the taxes on cigarettes and gas. I think gas is going up 43%. Where is that money going? I think they're giving it to illegals.
Yes, they are. And a lot of it is going into the school system, and I don't even think people realize if you walk into a classroom of 30 to 35 kids, I'm not talking half. I'm talking you'll be lucky to find any white kids or black kids in, you know what I'm saying, other than the suburban areas where the white kids are. This is why I'm supporting Donald Trump in terms of the voucher situation, because so many of us, like myself, our parents wanted us to go to a better school. They had to either lie about our address or move or get a job within a school district where they want their kids to go, because these people will not even allow you to remove your kids from these violent schools, and the schools are violent because they're spending all their time trying to wrangle these kids because they're outnumbered. There's way, way too many of them. So I don't understand why you should even be allowed to enroll your kids in school if you are an illegal. And they don't check that, but they should.
Yeah, well, there's some amendment or something or law that says if you're an illegal, you should be educated if you're a kid.
What?
Yeah, there's a law that says that. And you saw the case about the 18-year-old. See, that they were talking about it when the 18-year-old is in the classroom with a 14-year-old.
Right.
Right. Remember? Right. Yeah.
Exactly. And the illegals that sexually assaulted that girl a couple weeks ago.
Right.
Right.
And
they come in. They're. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What I was going to say is the other thing is that the ranking of the public school system in Los Angeles or the United States, but specifically Los Angeles, has decreased dramatically because they're spending resources on trying to teach people English. So the American kids, the English-speaking kids, aren't getting their proper education because time is spent in school trying to teach kids to speak English.
When I was in the second grade, they threw me out of class because I raised my hand and asked the TA, why do they have the real teacher and I'm stuck with you? She's teaching these people how to speak English. Why aren't you at least teaching us how to speak Spanish, especially since y'all turn around and make it a requirement then for us to graduate later on, and then you let these people who are already native Spanish speakers take Spanish as a second language to graduate school. So it's stacked up against you. The jobs, of course, they're saying bilingual preferred. We already know who you're talking to because you said bilingual. You didn't say did you speak multiple language. You asked the question in Spanish. So that means that you mean Spanish and English, not like Chinese and English or French and English. You were looking for Spanish speakers. When I was a kid, I remember, I can't remember who it was, but it was an educator who wanted to make Ebonics a language because her argument was, you guys are telling us you need to take our tax dollars to teach these people how to speak English, but there's a lot of black kids, for whatever reason, have been, are not up to speed in terms of their reading and their English, and you are leaving them behind. So do we need to create a whole other language so that you can make special classrooms for them the way that you're doing for these kids? And they just turned it into a big joke. And a lot of these black people in radio and in media are the ones who turned Ebonics into a joke. But it was not about a joke. It was about us getting the federal funding or the funding and support from our school systems to make sure that black kids are getting the same amount of attention that you are giving to these other kids.
Right. So when were you in high school? When were you in elementary school? In the 90s?
Yes, this is the 90s.
So look.
93, 94.
Exactly. So look how long this has been going on.
Right. I've been complaining about this for a long time, and somebody had the nerve to call my daddy, one of my family members, and say, you know your daughter on the internet supporting Donald Trump and that kind of stuff. And he's like, you don't know what that girl went through, okay? She know all about how illegal immigration affects you, and it's a shame because there are some kids that are just kind of willing to go to school and just want to do what they have to do and leave. But also consider the people who are being left behind that could really be excelling in math and in science and in different areas, especially as black people, where we need to have more people. And they're completely being ignored and told to be quiet. They allow these other kids who have the discipline problem to do whatever it is that they want to do. And they spend all their resources on discipline and not try. It's like they don't want people to excel. They don't want you to be a free thinker. They don't want you to step outside the box. They don't want you to be excellent. And we see that was the rumor, and now we see that, with Common Core, which is the other reason why I'm supporting Donald Trump, because that got to go.
Right. So, in other words, yes, the Democrats don't want winners, and that's why they're spending all this time on Trump and Russia, as opposed to letting Trump get down to the nitty-gritty and get things done for the American people. There's stuff that needs to be done. Our infrastructure. We want our taxes lower. We want the wall built. We want illegals deported. There are things that the American people want, but yet the Democrats are focused, obsessed with this issue of Russia. See?
They don't want to do nothing.
They're just,
they want the status quo.
They want the status quo.
And Don Lemon, it's so funny how the Democrats the liberals, or I don't know what you want to call him, they try to act like Donald Trump is so racist. But then when he said, okay, well, here, I'm going to support the HBCUs. I'm pulling them out of this Department of Education mess because they're wasting our money and they're about to get cut. Here comes Don Lemon saying, I guess it's good that, he's giving money to them, but that's not really that important. There are things that are so much more important than giving money to HBCUs. It's like, okay, so now you just don't complain about everything he do, because you've got to be kidding me.
Exactly. You see, there's nothing that Donald Trump can do that is right to these liberals, to these Democrats.
Right.
And we have black politicians, black talking heads that need to be called out because they're in line with the white liberals, and they're working against black America's interests. And black folks need to wake up. Some of us have woken to this fact, have awakened to this fact, but more of us need to wake up to this fact that they do not have our interests, or you still wouldn't be poor as church mice, okay? That's what I want black people to know. 60 years of voting Democrat, and look where we are in terms of the data. We're at the bottom, scraping the bottom. The large majority of us. Not all of us, but a large swath of us. We should be progressing. This is what they don't get. I don't know.
How do you feel about Maxine Waters?
Oh, my God, I can't stand her. She's crazy. And I've interviewed Maxine Waters. You can Google Kathleen Wells Maxine Waters. See that interview on Huffington Post. I cannot stand Maxine Waters. She's crazy. I didn't know she was crazy when I interviewed her before. I think it was 2008. I know she is crazy now because her district is mostly Latino. She's going to be out of Congress soon. It used to be an all-black district. I think she represents Watts, Compton. It used to be all blacks. Now they're all Latinos. And
they're over there fighting, too, constantly. I remember my friends who went to school in Compton they just shot at. The Mexicans were just using them for target practice. They would just shoot at them just because. They would shoot at their grandmothers. They did not just come and move into Compton or move into South Central. They gangbanged and shot their way through, and they've caused a lot of people to have to move out and move to the valley. Black people are leaving in droves. Right now, they're paying people in Inglewood, black people specifically, to move out of the area. Because it's mostly where it is. Black people and Mexicans living in Inglewood, they're moving them out because now they have those new football teams there, and they want, to get that real estate back from us.
Wow. Yeah. So you grew up in L.A., right?
I grew up in L.A., born and raised.
So you know L.A. You and I know what's going on. We used to have Compton, Watts, Inglewood, Leimert Park, Baldwin Hills, Lafayette Square, all the way up to Washington. And Crenshaw, you know that area, Washington and Crenshaw. Right. We had areas of Long Beach. Now I don't know where black folks are anymore. Do you?
Moving out like I did.
Is that what motivated you to move out? Oops, did I lose her?
I'm here.
Oh, you're here?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
I can hear you.
the employment situation, once I realized, I know there's discrimination everywhere else, okay? But once I get on these jobs now and you want to promote said Mexican, said Indian, said Asian, said homosexual, and say that that's your diversity program, and then when these people break the law and discriminate against me and I go to the EEOC and you try to tell me that the Mexican is a minority too when we know they're checking the white box, so I'm not going to keep playing games with y'all.
Is that you?
Not going to keep playing games.
Is that what you see? See, people need to tell their stories so you know what's going down. And a lot of people are experiencing this. There's discrimination against us, but you know what? Ted Hayes is informing us our super citizenship, black people, we are direct descendants of slaves, 97% of us. We are direct descendants of slaves. The 14th Amendment is for us, not anchor
That's right.
babies. Exactly. It's for us, not anchor babies. We need to make this clear. We're going to have to do something. You know, my show, I wanted to be a part of, use it as a platform to get this information out. We need to get to the media. You see, all the black folks that talk in the mainstream media on the left, they're impotent. They don't have, they're not saying anything substantial. They're weak.
Well,
where are the powerful black people like you and Ted Hayes? See, you guys need to be on TV.
Well, they won't allow it. I even asked, why do you always have Angela Rye arguing with some white guy? And then half the time she'd be arguing with people on her own side. They'd be on the same side. She'd still be arguing with them. But I'm like, where are right? Where are the counterparts? You know, because regardless of whether it's a black man or a white man, et cetera, you know, they're going to look ridiculous or cowardly if they just start yelling back at you. It's not a fair match. You know what I'm saying? So clearly these people don't want to have real and fair dialogue. But I just had one more question for you.
Okay.
How come all the Pan-African people still live in the United States? Because who is moving to Africa?
You know,
tickets.
You know, they had the Pan-African Film Festival here in Los Angeles, and I attended. I think the guy's name is Babu. His name is Babu. Yeah. And, you know, I wanted, you know, when I had my radio show at KCAA, I asked him to sponsor my show, you know, because I talked about mass incarceration, and he never got back to me. But I did meet him. A lot of people attend that Pan-African Film Festival. He said some things about Africa that I later found out were not true. Like, you know, Africa is doing fantastic and fabulous. I know that's not true because I've heard.
Oh, please.
Right. So, you know,
the white part of Africa probably is.
Or, you know, it's like, or like the Chinese, you know, I heard Africans say, well, I have African friends, and, you know, the Chinese are like taking over Nigeria in terms of the infrastructure and industry, you know, laying pipes and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know what I don't know what, you know what? When I saw on YouTube how those Hotep brothers went through that infighting, it's like nobody wants to waste their time. Once you become an adult, you don't want to waste your time like this. We have some serious issues. It's like, this is silly. The infighting is silly. I remember you and I talked about that on Facebook about the Hotep brothers. Who is it? I can't even remember his name. Dr.
Umar Johnson.
Exactly.
That fool. But then when you start talking about education or trying to give these kids, you know, you stay out of jail, keep food on your head, things that are practical that you can actually use. You don't need the white man's education. The white man. It's like people doing the same math the white people doing. You need to get in here and figure out what it is. At least if you don't, you know, if you agree with the white man's education, if you have not even been exposed to it, how are you telling people what's going on at the white man's university and you ain't been to nobody's university? You know, I just think it's ridiculous.
And we are here in America. It's like we're not going to be, you know, these guys don't even, they could, first of all, why aren't they in Africa?
That's what I'm saying. Complain about America from Africa. You know, they remind me of Nas in that movie Belly, and he's like, I'm sick of this. I'm going to Africa. And I keep going, what part? Are you going to Kenya? Are you going to get a plane ticket? Are you going to call up the airline and say, I need a plane to Africa?
Hey, listen, Africans don't even want to stay in Africa.
I know.
You know, they're trying to get here as fast as they can. So you think, you know, and I think blacks in America have it better than blacks in most anywhere else. And we're Americans, and we need to start recognizing that and making the best of it. Instead, we're making the worst.
We fought to make it. We fought to make it the way it is.
Yeah, we're making the worst of it. And you know, and Democrats are pushing us to make. You see how Don Lemon sticks on racism, white supremacy, and the rest.
Right.
He sticks on that. He doesn't talk about, you know, like there's a whole forest out there, and we're looking at one tree in the forest. Why don't we look at the whole forest? We just look. You're gonna look at one tree in the forest for the next 100 years. We'll be worse off today than ever before. And yeah, this is, you know, I just can't even discuss it anymore because it's so ridiculous. It's clear, the data is clear. The U.S. Commission on Civil Rights has the data. The data is clear that illegal immigration is smashing black Americans. They will have half of Latin America here in America if Hillary Clinton, with her open borders, were in office. Half of Latin America would be here. And where would blacks be? And did I lose you, Kiki?
All right. No, I'm right here. But yeah, we would be going to jail to pay for it. That's what I said.
Oh, we would be going to jail to pay for them, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, anyway, Kiki, thanks for calling in. I really appreciate it. It was good talking.
Thank you.
You know, and hey, Kiki, tell folks about your YouTube channel. Let them know. Oops, we can't hear you. Did we lose Kiki? I think we lost Kiki. I don't know. Hello, this is Kathleen Wells, the Kathleen Wells Show.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, yes, this is James Brown.
Oh, hi, James. Facebook. Hi, James. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I wanted to call in last week for black folks that dig Trump, but I wasn't able to, but I made sure I was going to call in tonight because the info that I wanted to talk about, it still relates, and it doesn't deviate from what you and Mr. Hayes, yourself and Mr. Hayes were speaking about, and what Keith was just speaking about.
Okay, I'm listening. Let's hear it.
Well, first of all, let me give my personal reasons for liking Trump. At first, I'm not going to lie, I didn't take him seriously, but because he won the nomination, I started listening to his speeches and started looking into him, and not only was he consistent, he had actual plans for all the mockery the media made, and he was the only candidate that actually laid out a comprehensive plan for black America. Hillary Clinton didn't have nothing, and then when I look at why he wants to do it as time went on, not only did nothing change, but it's also logical. There's so many people in our community, meaning African American, we're going to use that term, you know, the direct descendants from slaves who are brainwashed. They're so emotionally triggered by the media. Everyone keeps repeating the same thing. He's a racist. He don't like black people. You know, it's nonsense. And they're not thinking logically. And they're not understanding why Trump is doing it. I put it this way. I'm like, okay, let's play devil's advocate. There's no law saying that Trump has a like. I'm not saying that he is, but I'm just saying, okay, let's play devil's advocate. I'm willing to accept that he's a white, wealthy American. He grew up totally different from the average black person, so it's understandable we're going to have a significant difference in outlook, but that don't make him a racist. But I'm willing to play devil's advocate. I'm saying, you know what? Trump doesn't have to like us to be a patriot, and he's a super patriot. He wants to see this country does well, and this country is not going to do well. He can't make America great again if the African American community is going to continue to stay an underclass.
Right. I know you've mentioned that on Facebook. In other words, if Hillary Clinton got into office and the illegal immigrants became citizens, or, you know, they got amnesty or green cards or whatever, black folks would become a permanent underclass. Dr. Claude Anderson talks about that. How is that making America great again when you have a minority group that's been here 400 years as a permanent underclass? How is that making America great again?
and then you're going to balloon the country with a huge population, approximately, one-third of Mexico, and then these people are predominantly receiving public assistance. But let's not even make it about them. We're going to come back to them in a second. When yourself and Mr. Hayes were speaking earlier, he mentioned the date 2050, and I've been seeing that date come up multiple times in different types of reports. That's a very important date for a lot of different reasons. Here's one that a lot of people aren't aware of. There was a report released a few weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago, about a little more than a month ago, a financial forecast, not just of this country, but of the whole planet, of where the countries are heading, by PricewaterhouseCoopers. And for those that don't know, PricewaterhouseCoopers is one of the top accounting firms in the world. So this is not just some guy standing on the street corner just flapping his gums, running his mouth. This is what they do for a living. And they stated by 2050, it's not going to be America. By the current projections and forecasts, China is going to be the world's #1 economy. Now, to those who follow economics, that may not be a shock because right now China is #2, and despite whatever challenges they have, their economy is growing. So we're not going to be #1 by 2050 by the current projection, but it gets worse. America is going to slide behind even India.
Wow.
I want people to think about that for a second.
By 2050, America will slide behind India.
Economically, yes. Now, what has Trump been saying about the H-1B visas? Which country on the planet is getting all those H-1B visas? Indian national. Yep, right. They're not the only ones, but it's predominantly, we use the term South Asian. That includes Indians, Pakistani, Bangladeshis. A lot of those H-1B visas are going to India. This is how India's becoming rich. You have India, they get recruited by companies in Silicon Valley, different tech firms, but it's not just Silicon Valley, other engineering, scientific corporations, and they work for a couple of years. You have a few that might, I like America, I want to stay. They become citizens, they bring their family over. The majority don't do that. They might stay in America, work 3 or 5 years, and you know what they do? They go back to their countries, and they open up companies doing what they was doing here in America. So this is what these idiots, these so-called billionaires who are geniuses, been doing. They've been training their competition, and their competition has been going back to India and elsewhere in South Asia and setting up businesses competing against them. And that's one of the reasons why they're going to outpace us economically within 30 years.
Right.
Now imagine if those same companies had the foresight. See, this is what they're doing. And people are like, oh, well, why won't they hire Americans? They must hate Americans. See, we got to take this is when we come back, when I started off earlier, where people get caught up in emotions and not thinking economically. I'm not saying that these businesses hate Americans. These are capitalists. They want to save money. It's cheaper to pay a salary to an H-1B visa who's a foreign national from India or some other Asian country than an American citizen. They're salary. They're not working per hour. So if they're only paying them, 65, maybe 70,000 a year, where they have to pay an American citizen 120,000 a year, and that's a salary. They're not getting overtime. So when they pay that foreign national that money per year, they could work them, to use the expression, like dogs. They could work them like 80 hours a week. They're
Right.
going to complain.
Right, and 60 Minutes did a special on that a couple of weeks ago. I want to check it out. Check it out, 60 Minutes specials on HB1 visas. Okay.
Now, how this ties back to us, imagine if those same tech companies, engineering firms was investing those resources to American citizens into the African-American community from early on, from grade school, middle school, high school, and even doing college internships that guaranteed jobs. Imagine they was putting those resources in the African-American community. then not only will we have more prosperity in our community, we're not going to another country and setting up businesses against them. We're Americans, so even if we set up, let's say, African American did the same thing. They worked for them 3-5 years, and hey, I can do this, set up their own company. We're staying right here in America. That's good for this country.
Right. We're Americans. We're not going to go to Africa and take a company to Africa. We're staying here in America. So therefore, America first.
Now, bringing it back what I said about the report, I seem like I might be jumping around, but I'm not. I'm bringing it back to the report. Trump knows this. Trump is a genius. Every time I read reports and I hear people making jokes and they try like, oh, President Trump is this and that. Trump is a freaking genius. People don't know how smart Trump is. It is because they dislike his personality, but he's smart. People think that Trump don't know these financial forecasts. He don't see where America is going.
Right.
He definitely knows these forecasts, and that's why he's serious about his New Deal for Black America. He's not just saying that to whatever to sound good. And here's another thing where people aren't logical. Our community, we voted for Trump the least out of all ethnic groups. I think it's about what, Kathleen, about 8% of our community voted for Trump, and that's men and women. Now let's use logic. Both the Hispanic community, I guess you could include Latinos and the legal Chicanos, not the illegal ones, even though they voted too. If we look at that community and the Asian community, both those other communities voted at least 3 times as much as our community did. So wouldn't it make more sense for Trump to offer his New Deal to either Hispanics or Asians?
Wait, they voted more than we did?
Yeah, way more for Trump than we did. Yeah, at least 3 times as much.
Yeah, way more for Trump, exactly. I think the Latino community voted 34% for Trump.
See, I thought it was only 3 times. That's like 4 times as much. And the Asians is about equal. So people aren't using logic. So logically speaking, Trump should be offering his New Deal for either Hispanics or Asians, right? But he's not. And no one's thinking logically, asking, wait a minute, if we voted for him the least, why is he offering us that deal to our community and not for those other non-white communities that voted for him in much larger percentages?
Well, I mean, when he came up with his New Deal plan, that was before the election results. That was before people voted.
Yeah, you're right. But he could have switched it over. And people would say, oh, see, he wasn't going to do nothing for our people anyway, but he hasn't switched nothing. And what people don't understand is because Trump understands that economic forecast, what America is projected to fall economically by 2050. This country is not going to be great again with the African American community in its current state. They can't just keep locking us up in state and federal prisons and America's going to be great. That's going to have to all change.
Right. I agree with you. This country cannot be great again with the African American community in its current state. I agree with that.
And people don't want to use logic. Everyone wants to be emotional, and they're just going off of rumors, and they're not thinking logically. I'm sorry. And someone will say, well, okay, well, they want their illegal aliens to replace us. Okay, let's go with that. Replace us how? If the majority are coming in and they're using up social services and welfare, how is that contributing to the economy? That's putting us in deeper debt.
Exactly. Illegal immigrants are on welfare, and they stay. In fact, I saw a report. They stay on welfare. In other words, you have folks who have been here illegally for 20, 25 years, still on welfare.
Yep.
Yeah, the entire time. Not getting off. Welfare.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Welfare is just, those social service benefits are supposed to just be a temporary stopgap. You know, you're there for a while, not on it forever. You see, we're importing poor people into the country. How is that making America great when you think about economics? Importing.
No, it's not.
Right, exactly.
Not only that, I remember reading a report, I'm about to pull it up. Here we go. it was a report, and this is documented. And mind you, this is an estimate. It's this organization called FAIR, which they deal with immigration reform. I forgot the exact acronym what it stands for, but they did a report. And on average, and mind you, this is just from 2013. It's probably even greater by now being in 2017, but based on the estimates of 2013, illegal aliens cost this country over $100 billion every year.
Exactly. As Kiki was touching on the fact that, in the school system alone, we're talking about 4, 5, 6 kids getting free lunch, free breakfast, free after-school snack. Oh, and I just recently found out that a lot of their activities are paid for. They get free dental, free medical, and when you have to buy a cheerleading outfit or a helmet for football, they get those free too. We can't afford it. What's a testament that we can't afford it is the roads in Los Angeles. Every single road is potholed.
And people can't understand why they keep risking death running across the border, because they know if they live and make it across, they're in the land of milk and honey. They're getting taken care of.
Yeah, I think it's really bad for folks back in Latin America. And, those folks need help. The economy, I don't know what's going on back there, but something needs to be done. But it's not Black America's responsibility.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, hey, you know what? I want to be totally cold-hearted, but I'm not a bleeding heart anything. I can't feel sorry for them. That's y'all country. Y'all figure it out. This is our country. We got our own issues to deal with, and them being here is not helping us. It's made the situation way worse.
And also, they're a brain drain on their own country. Don't you think they need their human capital in Latin America? Isn't that human capital needed in Mexico instead of America?
That's true.
Yeah.
And then the ones who just here sucking up and eating up the social services, well, you know what? Y'all can stay south of the border and let the Mexican government take care of you as they should and not the American taxpayers. That's not our responsibility.
That's right. And why should it be our burden? Listen, bottom line what Ted said. We're talking about our life. They're talking about a better life. But we're talking about our actual existence. We're going to roll. You expect us to roll over and die because you want a better life? We're going to be out of it. We have children, too. We have to feed our kids. We have a life to maintain. This is,
And something I've been posted about on Facebook months ago, but actually, months ago from last year, but especially again recently, we gotta, and it's hard because our people always want to be on this morally right and do what they think is right, but what they think is right and say what they think is right, they don't understand how they're being manipulated, in that we got to be selfish and say, hey, no, this is for us only. You're not a part of our legacy, because Yvette Carnell has posted about it. You posted about seeing other people posting about it, and I saw this coming. Now they're trying to tie in illegal immigration to slavery. That's beyond insulting. There's no words in our language, English, or any other language on the planet to express how insulting that is.
Yeah, it's very insulting. And in fact, I just saw recently this preacher, I think he's in North Carolina, and he was like, he's that heavyset guy who kind of looks hunched over, and he was like defending this illegal immigrant who was getting deported. I mean, it's like, you know what? Some of these preachers, I just had it with them. I really wish we could have. I would love to have some kind of like calling out black politicians, black talking heads, and black preachers, and like all black folks get together, and it's like, let's tell you what's going down. But we don't want the typical. Yeah, let's tell you what's going down. But let's not. We don't want the typical people speaking at these events. Because they're shapeshifters. They say they're for the blacks, but they're really for the Democrats. They're really for the liberals, and they're really just lining their own pockets at our expense. Because there's no reason whatsoever that Black America should be regressing economically, and we are. There's no excuse for
No.
that. There's 1.3 million black men missing from society today due to early deaths and incarceration. That matters. That has a ripple effect in our families, sociologically. What are you going to do?
Can we even use the term second class now? That don't even apply to us. We're lower than second class at this point.
I know, but and a lot of it is our own. It's our own behavior. We have bad behavior. Because
even with,
I mean, that's something that you and I go back and forth about because because you think we're like perfect. We're not. We're far from it. We've been
No. Kathleen, I know we get into it on Facebook. I don't think our people's perfect. I try to be, what's the word, diplomatic, because we get crapped on, pardon my language, 24/7 in the media. So I'm trying to be, not that I'm trying to be put on rose-colored glasses. I'm trying to be more forgiving to us and look at the bigger picture, because we know a lot of our, and I think you would agree with me on this. I'm trying to put words in your mouth. A lot of the problems in our community, it starts and ends with economics. If we was all
a lot of it starts with behavior, because listen.
Okay. Well, guess what? The behavior is also conditioned by economics. Hold on. I don't want to cut you off. Let's be realistic. If black people all had access to six-figure jobs, whether it be, blue collar, white collar, making six figures over six figures, you think anyone's going to be in the street risking their life, risking arrest, hustling, and they can have a six-figure salary job? Who in their right mind is going to do that?
Well, when we have a six-figure salary job, what do? We go out and buy a Cadillac. We don't understand.
You're going to buy so many Cadillacs, and someone wants to have their one little Cadillac. We could allow them to have a little luxury in life. Now, there's a reasonable.
No, I'm not reasonable, because look.
Well, look, we could allow people to have a little bit of fun. Come on. One Cadillac ain't gonna hurt no one now. But hold on. If someone says, "I want to give me 20 Cadillacs," okay, now it's like, Negro, you are out of your mind.
We don't spend our money right, and that's what I'm saying. We don't have financial literacy. We don't understand a lot of things. We need to work on us. Stop looking at white folks and blaming them. We need to look at us and look at our behavior, and we've been led astray by black politicians. That's it. I'm not
necessarily disagreeing with you, Kathleen. Sorry, Kathleen. I'm not sorry about that. I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, Kathleen. I'm not saying we have to have a Cadillac. Hey, a Volkswagen Beetle would do the same exact job, get you from point A to point B, and be a lot less cheaper. I mean, be much more cheaper. So I'm not saying it's necessary to get luxury cars and have designer suits and Gucci handbags, but a little luxury is okay as long as it's reasonable, so everyone's got their particular, I don't want to use the word vices because that has a negative connotation. Everyone's got their particular, even fetish ain't a good word. But for lack of a better,
idiosyncrasies.
What happened?
And we go for the bling bling.
I love your mind.
We go for the bling bling. We go for the bling bling. We go for the bling bling, and it's not necessary. You got to.
There's a point. Yeah.
It's about self-esteem.
Yeah, well, you're right. There's a point where it becomes ridiculous. If someone feels, well, hell, I can only wear whatever, designer suits, or women think I'm never going to wear a handbag. If I'm talking for a woman now. If it's a man wearing a handbag, I ain't even touching that. I'm not down with that scene, but if someone else is, look, you do you, but that's not me. So I'm assuming it's a woman with a handbag. Assuming that a woman's like, I can only wear a Gucci or Louis Vuitton handbag and blah this, that, it's got to be too. That's ridiculous. That's
we're too superficial. We have low self-esteem. Now,
I agree with you. I agree.
We have low self-esteem. We're too much.
Because people that really do have serious money, and I'm not just talking millionaires, I mean people who are billionaires, If you was to see them in public, you might not even recognize them. They might be wearing torn jeans and ratty sneakers.
Right.
They don't care.
And eating peanut butter and jelly every night. But anyway.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing that now. But the thing is, they know they got it. They don't have to impress nobody.
That's right. That's right. You don't have to impress other people. It's about how you. It's the inside. It's the inside. How you feel. We feel bad because Ted touched on this. There's some facts. There's some things we haven't faced about our lives. How we even got to America. Things we haven't faced about how we even got to America. We were sold by Africans. That's something that Ted touched on. I've got to do some more research into that because I see both arguments. I don't know definitively which is true, but I've got to research it. I'm open-minded to that possibility, of course. I'm open-minded to that.
And I'll meet you halfway. Granted, we shouldn't be, what's the word? Oh, Lord. See, I know what I want to say is just having trouble coming out my tongue. Consumptuous capitalism or conspicuous capitalism. We shouldn't be that way. There we go. Conspicuous capitalism. We shouldn't be just buying for the sake of buying.
Well,
that's retarded.
We shouldn't be, these obsessed consumers. We should be opening small businesses.
Agree.
And this needed to start 50, 60 years ago. I don't know what people were doing. I have to, because I'm a certain age and I did my, this is the way I feel about me. I feel like I did my part. I went to college. I went to law school. Okay? I did my part. I did what I was supposed to do. What did other people do? I don't know. Why aren't there hot dog stands owned by black men in Los Angeles? Actually, there is now. It's called Earl's on Crenshaw. It's very good. Okay. He has a turkey dog. He has a vegan dog. He has a spicy beef dog. And then you can get it with grilled onions, or chili and cheese. And then he has it's delicious. He has the chili cheese fries. He just opened. Actually, he's been around for a long time. And I spoke to, it's called Earl's, and I spoke to the mother. They've been around for decades, like 30 or 40 years. They've had various locations. And you know what? She's not first generation American. She's from the islands or something. And I thought that was interesting.
And likewise, not to cut you off, the sword cuts both ways. African American women, I'm not saying you, but let's keep it real. Throughout America, they love them Korean beauty supply shops, a multi-billion-dollar a year industry. Why aren't those stores owned by black women?
Okay, yeah, and they're beginning to open those. But you know what? I just saw someone was calling in. Call in again, and the next time they call in, I'm going to take them and let you go, James. So we'll go until they call in again. Someone from the 7-8, I think that was 7.
All right, got you.
Yeah, so we'll keep talking and let's see if they call in again. If not, let's see, we've gone almost 2 hours, you know what I mean? Hello, did he hang up? Oh, James hung up, I think. Well, anyway, I guess I wasn't clear. I was saying, James and I can keep talking until the 708 calls back in, but I don't know if they're going to call back in. But we've gone like 2 hours, and I think we've had a good show, don't you guys? I know, oops, you hung up, James. That's okay. I think we've had a good show. Hey, I wanted to hang up with you when you started talking about black women. Here's another call. Don't talk about black women. Hi, this is Kathleen Wells. Welcome to the Kathleen Wells Show.
Hello. How are you? This is Demetrius Brown.
Oh, hi, Demetrius.
How are you? I don't think I will try. You can hear me pretty well, I imagine. Just let me know if I need to talk louder. But I'll try not to take too long. But I do want to hit a couple points quickly if I can.
Okay.
So I do, I know I go back and forth with James Brown.
You sound funny. Hey, listeners, these guys are on my Facebook page, so I kind of know them, you know what I mean? They're funny.
Yeah, I kind of go back and forth with James Brown sometimes, but he made some very excellent points, and I got to give it up to him. One thing with regard to that, to giving James Brown credit, I do want to piggyback off of what he said earlier about economics, and he said that's like the immediate thing we should be concerned about. And I was thinking, wow, I really agree with that. But then I think you stepped in and said something about having a code of conduct. Is that correct? You said having a code of conduct is
yeah. I mean, they're not mutually exclusive. We have to have a code of conduct, and we have to focus on economics, because part of the code of conduct is being financially literate, right?
Sure, yeah. Absolutely. And so that's what I think. I think the first thing we should have is a code of conduct, and then after we establish a code of conduct, then we should begin to build our economic structure. And then after that, we seize political power, and then after that, militaristic power. So that's my thought about that.
What do you mean militaristic power? We're Americans. We don't need. Why do we need a militaristic power? We're in America. We're Americans. We have the Department of Defense. We have a military in America. Why would we want militaristic power? That's what? What are you saying?
Okay, I guess I can get into that on a future broadcast. I can dissect that further.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that'll take a while to get into. So I'll touch my next point really quick. So I know James Brown also talked about not feeling sorry for other groups, and I absolutely concur. Like, I really do not have any sympathy for them. I mean, that we have our own problems. That's their issue, and let them deal with that. So that's my thought about that. Another point I wanted to touch on was the whole H-1B visa thing. I posted a couple articles about it on your account, and so I work with. I know he talked about the Indian population dominating a lot of the science-related fields. I work in technology. I work for a consulting company, so I'm doing tech consulting. I mean, and probably like about 70, maybe 80% of my coworkers are people of Indian descent. And now with Trump, now with the White House, beginning to rescind the H-1B, the issuance of the H-1B visas. They're not obviously not getting rid of the program completely, but they are starting to rescind it a little bit and making it more strict. I've been telling my friends, my black friends, get into technology. I mean, this is an opportunity for us to corner that market and really build out a niche for ourselves, because they dominate it now, but now that program is being rescinded, I think this is a really great time for us to really take advantage of that. So I think we should be doing that. I want to just touch on two more things, and I'll be done. Did you want to step in and say something, or?
No, I'm listening.
Okay. So I think the reason I kind of bump heads with the guys a little bit is because I do believe like in a Pan-Africanist philosophy. I know that I don't know how much that resonates with you guys, but I think that I support that, because I think that black people, I think all over the globe, our problems are related, and so I don't really see us being able to get over any of our problems without being able to cooperate, and so.
Wait. What? I mean, what do you mean exactly? Because black people in Haiti or Africa, or in Jamaica, or in the Caribbean, or in London don't necessarily. There's this competition thing. You saw the big hoopla over the black guys who were British playing an African American role. I think it was Samuel Jackson that made a big deal out of that. Do you know?
Sure.
So we don't all come from the same tribes we're not all descendants from the same tribes in Africa. There was warring in Africa between tribes. We're all different.
Sure.
So how can we get along
Sure.
like that? We haven't, and they've been talking about that since Marcus Garvey. That was over 100 years ago.
Well, I guess you can call it wishful thinking on my part.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's wishful thinking.
But I mean, I just don't really see any other way. Like I mentioned in the chat room,
you don't see any other way of what?
Gaining black people gaining power and being able to, I mean,
and being able to
deal with the problem of white supremacy. I mean, I just really don't.
No, I don't want to hear that. You know, we've been talking about white supremacy forever and a day. We're not. You think you're going to change white folks? They're the majority. They're the dominant group in America. So they're the dominant group in America. We are a subset in America.
Okay.
So what do you expect to do?
Well, I think maybe it is possible for us to carve a niche out for ourselves. Maybe I don't know. I'm still learning, but that's just the feelings I harbor right now. So, but I do want to touch on one more thing. I want to ask you this question. This is my last point I want to make. With regard to black leaders, I mean, I think about people like Maxine Waters. I know you said you don't like her.
No, I can't stand Maxine Waters because she has sold out black Americans. She used to represent Compton and Watts. She didn't see her district slowly, gradually changing. Her district now is majority Latino. She didn't see that happening and say something about it.
Sure.
Because I think she should say, hey, where are you folks going? Why are you leaving? What's up? What's going on? Sure. But instead, she's like pro-illegal immigration.
Sure.
Because she wants to win another seat. So who would...
Okay.
You know, it's like we voted for her for decades. Mm-hmm. And she's not serving our interests. She saw us get smashed, smothered, eviscerated. And she said nothing about it.
Yeah.
She could have said something. I mean, how can you like someone like that? That's like you're you're a user. You use people. You use black votes. Black people voted for you and we got smashed. And you're like, bye. Now I'm for illegal immigration. Bye, black folks. Come on, Latinos. Now it's your turn.
Yeah.
Vote for me. What?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I hear her making the comments that she's making. I'm hearing people like Ross Baraka, I think that's how you pronounce his name, the mayor of Newark, New Jersey. I mean, and these people are pro-immigration. They're supporting the idea of sanctuary cities. And this is the final thing I want to say. And I'm ending this with a question. I mean, why do these black leaders? What is the motivating factor for them not wanting to speak up for their people? Do you think that perhaps it's something? Do you think it's partly our fault? Like they just don't feel as if they're getting enough support from the black community. Like they as like almost to suggest that they don't feel that black people are interested enough in politics or in their own empowerment. Do you think that has something to do with it? And they just, I mean, do you think they're in the pockets of perhaps these politicians are in the pockets of these immigrant advocacy groups? I mean, why do they side with the immigrants? Why are they siding with sanctuary cities? Why are they siding with illegal immigration? And I just want to know why, and I'll end it with that.
Well, because that's what the Democrats want. The Democrats want that because the Democrats want globalism. They want open borders. They want a one world government, and that's what the Democrats want. They're Democrats, and so they're going to stay secure in their position. But also something something that Ted touched on the last time he was on the show is that a lot of blacks, you have certain, I call them first wave Negroes and second wave Negroes, third wave Negroes. You have certain stratas of black folks, upper middle class, and it's like upper class black folks don't want to hang around lower class black folks. Like, and he gave the example of when Martin Luther King went into some neighborhood, Detroit or Chicago or something, and he was like, I got to get up out of here. People were shooting and drinking and,
Sure.
Because Martin Luther King came from a relatively middle-class family, right?
Yeah.
Both parents, traditional kind of thing. He was like, that's the anecdote, the story that Ted tells. So, certain strata of black folks don't want to hang around other black folks. I mean, come on, I don't want to be around guys with their pants sagging. Hello. It's embarrassing.
Sure.
It's embarrassing. It's like, pull your pants up. Are you kidding me?
Sure.
You're a black guy, you got your pants, you're showing your butt crack to the public. Who wants to see that? Whoever said that was an attractive look? It's like, hello.
Right.
I mean, I don't want to be around guys like that. Are you kidding? Young guys.
Sure.
I'm embarrassed.
Right.
It's like you're black, I'm black, and you look like that. Why? You're showing your butt walking down the street. Why? Who wants to see someone's butt? Who?
Right.
How did that style ever happen? I have no idea.
Right. Okay.
They don't care.
Sure.
Everyone.
Yeah, I guess not.
But let me tell you, this has been going on for decades. And even Ted was telling us how Jesse Jackson. So they also, after Martin Luther King died, they all sold out to advance their own interests, to line their own pockets. And it's the same thing over and over. I'll tell you, that Bakari Sellers, who I see on CNN, one of those talking heads. These guys, they are so up. I think Ted calls them popsicle heads or something. Or lollipop.
Yeah.
They're so far up Democrats' butt, it's crazy. They'll do anything a Democrat says. They will do anything white liberals say. Anything. They support anything white liberals support. Anything. And then the white liberals say anything that is said negative or from the conservatives that is criticizing, analyzing a black person, the white liberals say, oh, it's racism. That's racism.
Yeah.
You see, it's like, give me a break. Not all of it. Listen, I am not going to defend Barack Obama or Susan Rice. I don't care what color they are. What did they do for black America? They did everything for white women, feminists, gays, and illegals. They didn't do one thing for blacks, okay? He even screwed it up on the HBCUs, Obama.
Yeah.
He was giving them less. Oh my gosh. I mean, the writing's on the wall. Anyone that doesn't see it hasn't done their research. Do your research. Find out what's going on. Listen to Bill Steele reports. Listen to Dick Morris. Listen to Afro Synergy. That's one I listen to.
Okay.
Well, I know you do, Demetrius. I'm sort of talking to some of the listeners out there. But I know you listen to some of these people, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, Malcolm at Ted in the chat room says, Malcolm said they got lollipops stuck up their butts. That's why they walk so funny. Have you seen them? No, I'm kidding.
Sure, yeah.
Oh my God. It's like they have a lollipop stuck up there. So that means that it's sweet, right? It's sweet up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever that means, right? Hey,
whatever
that means. It's like, hey, listen, that's why those guys, I swear, Don Lemon is a homosexual, right?
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
And I'm not homophobic, but I'm just saying, gays have they put gay interests before black interests. A black gay puts gay interests before black American interests. Don Lemon is homosexual. He's for the gays. Good for him. That's where he should be. But he should not be speaking out for black America. He is not a representative of black America. He's a representative of gay America. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, I have another call. Oh, I just missed it. I had another call. Whoever was calling, you can call back in. Let's see what Ted Hayes says in the chat room. He says, James Brown, you are not only smart but courageous for admitting that, and I admire you for it. It is the truth that about ourselves will finally set us free. But it is the truth that about ourselves. It is the wait. I'm trying to read. It is the truth that about ourselves will finally set us free. I think he means this is recognize who we really are. What's going on about? Oh, James Brown says Obama was a Trojan horse for oppression. A Trojan horse for oppression. Yeah. And then Mario says in the chat room, and most of them, I've got a call. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Hi, this is Kathleen. The Kathleen Wells Show. Welcome.
Caitlin Wells, how are you?
How are you?
I'm good. This is Mario out of New Jersey.
Oh, hi, Mario. It's Kathleen. It's not Caitlin.
I meant Kathleen. I'm sorry.
You made me think of like Caitlyn Jenner, you know?
Yeah, I'm messing up on your name already. I don't know where I'm getting Caitlin from, but I meant Kathleen.
It's Kathleen.
Kathleen.
Okay, what do you want to talk about? What do you want to
I'm sorry. I had a good idea, and so far I'm enjoying your show, and I want to apologize because I missed your last show, but I wanted to make sure I catch this one. But I enjoy the show so much, especially what everybody was saying. Everybody from Demetrius, James Brown, and Mr. Ted, brought up some good points. And Kiki, too. I got mad when I heard what Kiki was saying. I mean, that was just... But it answered my question about the sanctuary cities, about why, like a lot of sanctuary cities, the population of homelessness is so huge because, you see it in, California, New York,
right,
New Jersey, and Chicago. And I have a great idea, but it's only if everybody wanted to do it. And I was posting in the chat room just a while ago, that I thought it'd be a great idea. This is just me. Like if we came up, like if we did a petition, and we got like a certain number of people that maybe like agree to a petition for a particular, issue. Now that we have, a new administration in the White House, because I got a friend of mine that has a friend that works in the White House. Well, I tell you, the lady that I work with, that I do films with, my casting director, she has a friend that works close with Donald Trump. And I said, Rob, if you got that type of access, then I need to write the president, talk to him. I want to put a petition or a letter together. And, so we can get this thing started. Because she was the one that, you laughing at me, but she was the one that turned me on to Trump.
He said, I need to, that sounds so funny. You said, I need to write the, hey, Mario, you should have been writing him from day one. Come on.
That's true. But I just thought about it. Well, I didn't know what kind of petition to come up with. I wanted to, do a lot of research before I, put myself out there, because I said that, I didn't want to, sound ignorant,
Yeah.
Like as far as reaching out. But I just, it was just something I was thinking about. Like,
Well,
what kills? Mm-hmm.
What I would say, everyone that's listening, I encourage everyone that's listening to call their representatives, state and federal, and the White House. Write, email, call, and express your opposition to illegal immigration. That's a start. Call your representative. Call your member, your House of Representatives, in the federal government, your state representative. Call them and express your outrage over illegal immigration. Email them, write them, call them. Don't stop. Keep calling. Get your friends to call.
That's a good idea because I got the White House number and I called them about 2 weeks ago.
Mario, you're so funny. What did you say when you called?
Everybody said how crazy I am, but no, I called them because there's a comment number you can call. But I thought when they gave me the comment number, and when I called the White House, I thought it was just going to be one of those comment lines where you just talk to the machine. But the comment line is where they have like an actual representative or volunteer that listen to your comments and take notes of everything you're saying, which is good because I actually love talking to an actual person. It beats than talking to a machine. And so I told her, I said that with New Jersey being a sanctuary, type of state, and I'm a double check on that, but it's right next to New York. But I told them that when it boils down to it, I have a love for everybody. I'm not hating on nobody, but I said as far as the illegal immigration that's going on in New Jersey, as far as the Mexicans that took over the jobs, like the temp agencies. Yeah, they took over the temp agencies over here. I told them that it's almost like you almost required to speak Spanish just to get a job. And I told the lady at the White House, I said, I know Spanish, but because I learned it for about 3 years when I was 3 years in high school and then 2 years in college. And I told them that even though I know it, I said, this is an English nation. The United States was built off of, an English nation, speaking nation. And I said that's, to me, is against the Constitution. And I told the lady, oh, yeah, she heard it from me. I said, that's like against the Constitution. I said, what's the point of having a Constitution in the United States if we got to be subjected to people that feel like we need to speak their language, and then most of them are here illegal? Because I told her up front, I said, there's no way. And I missed and cursed and didn't even realize. I said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. She said, no, you speak your mind, but just try to limit it. I said, okay, well, I said that there's no way that there's that many people are over here legal. And knowing how, and I'm not knocking white folks down, but knowing how white Americans are as far as their ego, we know for a fact they don't want all those people over here. I'm just keeping it real.
Oh, wow.
There's no people.
We know for a fact that most American patriots who are non-Democrat, and listen, this is what the liberals want to do. Everyone is transracial and non-gender. That's what
exactly. Yeah, there's no way. And I even work part-time at the Comfort Inn Hotel at the front desk, and when people at the hotel, like every now and then we'll get like Mexican workers that come, they might be coming from Texas, they might be coming from California, or somewhere in the Midwest. I be seeing the fake IDs, Kathleen.
Right.
They're not in the United States. Because I asked my manager about that, who's an Indian, and he was like, oh, well, you can go ahead and check them, man, because as long as they got an ID, that's what matters. And he said they probably, most likely, they got it approved by the state. But but in the back of my mind, I said, it don't look like this. But, of course, those Indians, they want to make their money. And I was thinking to myself, ooh, I hope he an anchor baby, another one that needed to get his suitcase and pack and leave. But like, it's so many of them. And even though I've been living in New Jersey for like since 2011, I came up here back and forth to visit relatives up here, but I haven't seen like it was back then. It was just like Dominicans and I think what Puerto Ricans and Cubans, but now, I mean, you seeing people from like Guatemala,
Yep.
and Mexico and Mexicans taking over. Well, they didn't take over New York, but there's a lot of them. You know, that was unheard of. That was unheard of.
Yeah, because it used to be Dominicans and Puerto Ricans on the East Coast and Mexicans on the West Coast, but now they're everywhere. Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I saw a video where the Latino guy did say, "Oh, we're going to take over California, Arizona, Nevada, Texas. That's going to be ours. Then we're going to move further east."
Yeah, they think that's going to work as far as them spreading out in the United States, but it's not because ISIS. I mean, they doing their work. I know that the Mexicans on my job, the Spanish people on my job in general, they're scared because I'm like, what are they trying to prove? Because now you know the economy bad. If I got a bachelor's degree and I'm working in a warehouse, but like they are wearing like you see them walking around with American flag shirts. They have the little American flags on their little forklifters that they be riding on, and I just be looking at them, shaking my head. I say they trying to resist ICE. They're scared, but you know it got to be done. And you know a lot of Republicans, you know, especially in the state of Pennsylvania and Philadelphia, are voting against illegal immigration. That's why they cancel. One of the reasons why they canceled Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, I heard that. That happened in Pennsylvania, I think, or Philadelphia. It was Philadelphia,
mm-hmm.
City of Philadelphia. Yeah, I think
Philadelphia.
Yeah. Well, you know, how did this happen? This didn't happen overnight, and it just like. It's one of those things that, like, you wake up and it's like here. But it was gradually happening, I think, over 20, 30, 40 years.
And we just didn't realize what it was. It's like we knew something wasn't right, but we just couldn't pinpoint it. Because that's how I felt. Because I said, something's not right. I said, they say the economy's bad, but no, there's another game being played on people. And the reality, I think, kicked in when white folks started being affected by it, and they'd be like, okay, now we're getting affected by this because,
yep.
I mean, you know what's bad.
Yeah,
no, go ahead.
Yeah, I think whites are getting affected now. They're feeling the pinch in terms of, you know, they had a lot of construction workers. You know, it affected blacks, I think, in the 80s. I was talking to a black man who worked in construction. But now it's affected whites in the construction industry and in other industries. And so, yeah, you know, hey, that's why let me tell you, quite a few Democrats voted for Trump because of this issue.
Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad I did because that was a big step for me because like I said last time, I never voted Republican. And I remember thinking about it. I'm like, did I make the right choice? Because it felt so awkward. But when I woke up the next morning, I felt this peaceful sensation that came over me. And I was just like, yep, I made the right choice. I don't know why, but I'm going to trust my gut instincts. And then now that I'm learning even more about Trump, I'm glad I made the decision that I made.
Right. I mean, this is the main issue for black Americans, is this illegal immigration issue. The data is clear. I say that all the time. You know, we don't have to agree with Trump on everything. I don't necessarily agree with what he said about Syria, but that's okay. I agree with him because I don't know for certain that Assad was responsible for the chemical release, the sarin gas or whatever, on his own. You know, in other words, I don't want to see another war. I don't want another war. And, you know, and that's something that Trump did say during the campaign. He wasn't going to be for intervention. See, we've been intervening in the Middle East. He said he wasn't going to do that anymore. So, you know, but I think he has something up his sleeve for Syria. So this was kind of disappointing, but hey, this immigration thing is the main thing for Black Americans.
That's the big problem.
It's the main
Yeah, because we are so. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
No, I was just about to say because we are so close to being like what happened in Europe. When you think about it, like I had no idea Europe was that almost like that bad. Because they don't. I mean, they report a piece of what's going on with the war against Muslims in Europe, but I didn't realize it was that bad until I saw some of my white friends posted on social media, and because I told one of my and this is before I even voted for Trump or was going for supporting Trump, because I was looking at my friends. I'm like, my friends, I said, dog, y'all. I said, what's y'all issues with Muslims now? I said, are you getting racist on me now? I would throw a joke in there, and then when they started like sending me like stuff to look up, I did not realize what was going on in Europe, because you don't hear CNN or MSNBC or mainstream media talking about it like that. It's like they try to keep it on the hush, and I was so disappointed that Sweden is like the rape capital of the world.
No,
I mean, that's crazy to me. That's like Princeton, New Jersey. That's the school, when Michelle Obama went to, I think, for grad school. But I used to live by Princeton. Well, I moved from there because it was just way too expensive. But that's like Princeton, New Jersey being the rape capital of the world. And Princeton is like, uppity class people that got money, rich people, basically Jews, because those are people with all the money. As a matter of fact, those are the people that's really behind all this with bringing all these immigrants over here.
Well, yeah, I think so. They run the Zionist, pro-Israel folks run the Democratic Party. There's no doubt about that. And that's something else that, that's just another tree in the forest. There's a whole big forest that you have to look at, not just one, not one tree. And what I don't care. You go all over YouTube, because I check out these YouTube guys because I like information. I want to know what's going on. So I check out their channels, and these Pan-Africanists and these whole tip brothers that pro-black, blah, 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 they just talk about the same thing. They talk about the same. They talk about all they do is talk about racism. I can't talk about the same thing for 50 years.
And it's like you don't really get no results from that,
I know it's empty. It's like running on empty. It is empty because it goes nowhere. We have 60 years of evidence. It goes nowhere but down. It's regressive, not progressive.
Yeah. Just like Albert Einstein said, you cannot solve old problems with old solutions. You just can't. And that's something that, I think that we got to get away from, especially as African Americans. And I can't say no Pan-African because I was born in America and my ancestors, they died with blood and sacrifice, just for us to have our citizenship. That's why I cannot support illegal immigration, and I can't support anything that I call them the Demorats. I cannot support what the Demorats have to say. It's basically out of the question.
Yeah, well, you're from the South, and you need to talk to your Southern friends and get them aware of what's going down, because I'll tell you, a lot of those folks in the South voted Democrat.
I thought about that, too, because I noticed that, like, black people down south, they very, I guess you could say they would fit in the emotional voter category because, most of them vote Democrat and don't know why. I hate to say it. I'm not trying to call them ignorant because I'd be calling myself ignorant, but, like, that's how they were brought up because, because it's so funny. Growing up in my mom and dad's house, my dad used to say this all the time. If you think I'm country, you should hear my dad. He'd be like, vote Democrat, Democrat, vote Democrat. and I used to ask him all the time, I'm like, I understand that, voting is important, but why vote Democrat without at least looking at the person you're voting for. That was my thing. Like, I want to understand both parties. I want to understand the person, because I might be voting for somebody that I might not subconsciously like.
And that would be Hillary Clinton. And we made
the woman in the big pantsuit that cry all the time.
And we made the mistake with Obama. Okay, we're not making that mistake again. Okay, we've learned from our mistakes. We've learned. Hey, just the data is clear. I always say that. I'm just a data girl. Show me the data. That's all I need to know, right? If we have regressed, and we've been voting, and now they're trying to smash us with illegal immigration. I can't go for it, man. I just can't.
It's self-sabotaging and self-genocide, and every time I talk to a black person that cries over Hillary, I shut them down by saying, you would actually vote for somebody, and not that it's none of my business, but you would actually vote for somebody that send the jobs overseas, and now people in your family members, including yourself, now got to work 2 jobs and get a part-time job, or probably have 2 part-time jobs because you don't have benefits because everything's overseas because of the Clintons. And if you don't believe me, look it up. That's what I tell them. And nobody likes to hear anything bad about people that are admirable. Because, when you hear her speak, it's easy to get trapped into her trickiness, because when women, I would say, maybe I'm wrong, but when women would look at, I think Hillary Clinton speak, they look at a powerful woman, they look at a woman that likes to fight, and when people see that, they like it. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I voted for Obama 2 times, and then after the second time, it was just like, okay, what's up with this brother? But it was hard for me. It was hard for me to see the negative about Obama. I mean, I know about the elite. I know about the Illuminati. I heard all the conspiracy, and I knew he was like a puppet, but it's like it was hard for me to hear that part. But I had to think outside of the box to see what was going on, because let's give it to the Democrats. Even though they're bad, they really suck at us in believing all their tricks and shenanigans. Like, the way the Democrats had it set up, they had it set up where they actually trying to get away, do away with the middle class. But it's like, for some reason, they started in the sanctuary cities, like the cities that are, I guess you could say that what makes America, like New York, I guess Miami or Chicago, and then, LA, to throw people off. And so I noticed this thing, and I've been studying this thing, and I said, well, what's not a better way to get rid of the middle class by raising taxes and paying less on these jobs and companies? And since they feel like the excuse is, okay, well, blacks and even whites are not going to work for less, so why don't we just bring all these illegal immigrants over here to do their job, just to have the excuse to cheat, American citizens?
Yep.
You see where I'm coming from with this? And that's a monopoly game. I give it to them. They were smart about it, but I'm glad that everybody caught on, including myself, because that was the question that that was always in my mind. Like, when I would go on Indeed.com, I was telling James Brown about this a couple of days ago, because I talked to him on the phone from time to time. I told him, I said, when you go on these websites like Career Builder, Indeed.com, even good jobs. I was looking at working in a group home, like direct support, like working with people that have individual with special needs. I like stuff like that too, like helping people with that. Like, they want to pay you a college grad $10.50 an hour. I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah.
So now I understand what is going on, and it's a monopoly game that's being played not only against blacks but whites. And we're in a war right now where it's not even about the color thing. It's about fighting for your life. And that's why I said I had to think outside of the box. So as far as with what white folks are saying, I am, well, as far as the white conservatives are saying, I'm with them on illegal immigration and cleaning up this mess with the Democrats and what they did.
Right? Didn't they? Oh my God! So my show today started off with the Susan Rice mess. You know.
Yeah. I didn't know she was black. I thought she was Middle Eastern. No, go ahead.
You thought she was Middle? You're crazy. Where are you from?
I'm from South Carolina.
Oh, and so you don't see many people that look like Susan Rice and Sarah. Hey, Condoleezza Rice is from, isn't she?
Alabama.
Oh, she's from Alabama. She doesn't look Middle Eastern.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a lot of, you talking about as far as like fair skinned blacks? Oh, yeah, we got a lot of that down there. I probably didn't look at a picture good, but she just looked Middle Eastern to me. Well, you know, you see some Middle Eastern people that look almost black, depending on like the location. But I don't know, she just had a Middle Eastern look. But when I looked at a picture again, I was just like, okay, she is black. But I was very disappointed in her. But I wasn't mad because I've been hearing so many, you know, corruptness with some of these liberals that it just don't surprise me no more. It's almost like, okay, who's next? You know?
What do you mean?
But, No, go ahead.
What do you mean, who's next?
Like, as far as who's the next Democrat, to be basically busted for something that they did or said.
Right.
Basically, busted in a lie. But yeah, I agree with both you and what Mr. Ted Hayes was saying earlier, that it's not about a black or white thing. If you committed a crime, you should you do the crime, you do the time.
Right. So that's the way I think, and that's how we started the show. Susan Rice and the Democrat Party are pimping the American black experience. They bastardize it, you know. They bastardize the American black experience, and we're not going to take it anymore. We're going to, as many of us as possible, are going to speak out about it, you know. And I'd like this show to be a platform for that. So, as I mentioned before, I want all of you to call your state representatives, your federal representatives, let them know how you feel about this issue of illegal immigration. Call them, email them, write them, just bombard them with correspondence, getting in touch with them, letting them know your thoughts. Tell your friends to do the same things, to call. This is important. They need to hear from us.
Yeah. I'm actually going to get on that this week. I'm going to put something together because I'm definitely going to get in contact with that lady at the White House. They probably know my name by now.
Oh, I don't know about that, but okay, so James Brown says in the chat room, give Susan Rice the full black experience by sending her to prison. Well, that's true. Hey, I'm black. I've never been to prison. I'm black. I've never been to prison. Have you been to prison, Mario?
Oh, no, I don't want to go to prison. The closest prison is where I'm working at now.
Oh, my gosh. I don't want to go to prison. I don't know. I couldn't make it in prison, okay? But anyway, no. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think that the Republicans, they're not going to, hey, are the Republicans going to let Susan skate free on this? What do you guys think in the chat room? And what do you think, Mario? You think she's going to get off scot-free?
No, not this time around. Not this time around. A lot of people are waking up. Trump's team and supporters are more stronger. People are more wiser, despite what the media is depicting. And, like I said, they're getting busted like left and right. And Maxine Waters, people like her and Pelosi, they losing their platform.
Well, one thing is for sure, I like to say that Trump is going to make this an interesting 4 years politically. It's going to be interesting. I hope it's all good. I hope nothing negative happens to Trump, because we need that New Deal for Black America, right?
That's right. We definitely need that again, and make America great again, because it sure wasn't great. I told my mom the other day, I said, I feel like a foreigner in my own country. I do. That was very educational what you and Kiki was saying. I did not, because like I said, they don't tell you everything what's going on in the United States. I had no idea that was going on in California with the like how the Spanish people are being treated better than the actual citizens over there, and how a lot of African Americans are moving out. I had a conversation with my coworker earlier today that's from Elizabeth, New Jersey, and she told me that you might not know all the names, but I'm just going to throw them out there. Like she was saying, like Elizabeth, New Jersey, there was nothing but blacks, Plainsville, New Brunswick, and I think Piscataway, and she said all of them are just being run out. She said it's like the Spanish people, they just took over those areas, and she said those areas used to be nice, and they just tearing them up. And she said the only place that they weren't successful was Newark. For some reason, she said Newark, they can't touch Newark. But it's very interesting that none of this was reported on mainstream media, and that's another sign and a clue why these liberals and these politicians feel so threatened by Trump, because he's actually somebody that's going to get the job done, and he kept his word. Because you ever heard of that saying, like when like somebody, then there's a problem, but when somebody don't like that person, the person is actually doing their job. Because, people not...
No, I haven't heard that expression before, but yet the status quo, maintaining the status quo, that's what everything is about. The elites maintaining power, and even though Trump is an elite, he's not their elite, he's not a political elite. I believe the man. What can I tell you? He just said the right things. America first. I'm for America first. Because you know why? I'm an American. That's all I can tell you.
That's right.
I'm an American.
That's right. That's right. And everything he said so far, he actually kept his word and did since he's been in office. And I think that scared people, because a lot of people just not used to that, because what we hear all the time is nothing but promises. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I remember when Obama said, when he was first getting elected, when he was doing that, that good old talk for African Americans, he was like, I don't want to see my people in the kitchen no more.
He said that?
And I remember him saying that. You can pull it up on YouTube. I remember he said that. I want to get my people out of this kitchen, trying to talk like Malcolm X. But he didn't get nothing really done. And just like the rest of the politicians.
Not for Black America.
Yeah, right. Not for Black Americans, for the foreigners, because that's the people that he catered to. And anyway, I'm not going to quote on this. I don't know how true it is, but I heard that he's being held in Japan right now.
I don't think that's true. I saw that too.
I got to research that, though, even deeper. I got to dig deep.
Mario, that's not true. I mean, I saw that too, but they say that he's being held in Japan. He was arrested. That's just like, now that is fake news. That's fake news. Oh my God. He's not being held in Japan.
If he would have got arrested, Oh my God! All these Negroes around here, they be having a fit. They be ready to tear DC up and throw things.
Oh my
But
God.
I'm gonna. But you know what? This show actually got me wanting to learn more about Susan Rice. I'm actually going to even do more research on her because I have been seeing and hearing a few things on social media about her. But as far as this situation, I have no pity for Susan Rice. You know, she should be in jail, arrested, and the keys should be thrown away.
Right. Why would we care about? What do we care about Susan Rice? We don't know her. She was a
No,
political operative. You know. I don't know her. If she broke the law, she broke the law.
yeah, and she doesn't represent African Americans anyway.
No, she represents the elites. Although, you know, she did work. One of her, I can't remember. She used to work as an ambassador, I think, for a country in Africa. I think she had something to do with Africa, UN something for Africa. You know, she's very much involved with She was involved with Africa. I don't know. But anyway, it's all phony. It's all fake. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is these illegal immigrants got to go. She unmasked. She has admitted to unmasking people on the Trump team. But she said it wasn't for political reasons. Her motivation wasn't political. She had to do it for national security reasons.
Oh God. See, that's the thing with Democrats that I'm learning now. They get on the news, they get in front of the media, and they try to sabotage our president, our new president, and it's like, well, you saying all this stuff, you saying this stuff, Maxine Waters saying this stuff, you got all these people saying this stuff, but it's like, now to be like, well, what do people feel about this that you're fighting against? Like, how it's almost like they're fighting, and they expecting everybody else to feel. It's like they're assuming. That's the perfect word for me. They're assuming that everybody is on the same boat with them as far as how they feel. But in reality, we cannot relate to them. You know me. I don't have that kind of money. So it's like, how can you relate to average working class Americans that basically keeping you rich? You know, our votes is what keep you in office. So it's like, with that being said, it's like you're fighting something that's going to destroy this nation. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, a natural born American citizen that descendants been here for over 100 years. And America was built off of blacks, not only with free labor and the bloody sacrifice of my ancestors, but I mean, I don't know that black. I'm gonna tell you, James Brown is brilliant. He made a good point that that President Trump is a genius, because he is. Because President Trump also know that we are the biggest consumers as black folks in the United States. We make this economy. And, I mean, we consume almost more than everybody else. Wow.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true. No, I don't think that's true. And I think that the Latino community is consuming a lot, too. They've increased their home ownership dramatically. So, they have. So, but, on that note, I've gone 3 hours, almost, 2 hours.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's a long time. I've gone 2 hours and 45 minutes. I'm 15 minutes shy of 3 hours. This was a long show, right?
Oh, it is. But you know what? It was very educational to me, and I know it was educational to everybody else. And I enjoy every time your show comes on, because, I'm always learning too. I always have my pen and notepad beside me, so I am taking notes.
Oh, good for you, Mario. Thank you for calling in. And let's do it again next time, okay?
Absolutely. You have a good night, and have a good night, everybody.
Good night. Good night. Okay, so this is the Kathleen Wells Show. I'm signing off because why? I went 2 hours and 45 minutes. Can you imagine? I guess we all have a lot to say, huh? We have a lot of things on our mind. Anyway, I'll be back soon. I'm not sure when. Today is Wednesday. I'll probably be back soon, though. And, be sure and check me out. And I appreciate you for listening and calling in today. Thank you this evening. Good night.